Hey, look at that! Yay!
Was it like a Heath Ledger?
Woohoo!
Yeah.
It was. I like to do that.
Oh, it's great.
Remember that one time I accidentally ruined it?
Go. Yes, I do. I do remember that time.
Chaos times.
Well, that's the norm with you. But we love you.
Yeah.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to You Got Me Monologuing. I'm Tony.
I'm Pasquale.
I'm Joey.
I'm Grognard Todd.
And you can see we got ourselves a little bit of a new layout, little new setup going here.
Yeah, the poster's behind.
I helped a little.
I mean, the view is
you helped
improved
a lot,
now
believe
if
it
you're
or
looking
not.
at Tony.
Yeah, you're not looking at my bar, which is covered in GenCon crap.
Hey. That's GenCon swag.
But now we no longer have Mando or Grogu in the background watching over us.
No, we got all the cool stuff hanging. I got rearranged. I got a new helmet. I bought a Black Series Boba Fett helmet because I found that came out last year, and I don't know how I spaced on it. It's a
the Black Series is amazing for the quality at that price.
The price on the Black Series stuff is fantastic.
You can wear it and not feel guilty about it at that price.
So how you doing, Todd?
Well, I'm here. I survived Gen Con. For some reason, I survived Gen Con. I did not get COVID. I wore a mask the entire time, with a couple of exceptions, when you're eating dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
Couple times went out for just a couple drinks in a very small group, people that are mostly in my circle
anyway, right?
And I still got con crud.
Everybody always, you know what?
But I had a mask on the entire time.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe it.
How many times did you wash your hands?
Man,
I made a point to do it several times a day,
and there were sanitizing stations everywhere.
I did that, a lot of that.
Here's what I feel like. I think your immune system was battling off every freaking germ.
Right.
At the end of Gen Con, I don't think you get con crud. Right. I think your immune system basically said, "I need a break."
Because I really didn't get sick. Like I didn't even get a cold. It wasn't even as bad as a cold. It just I could feel it in my throat. I had one night where I was a little stuffy, and I just kind of felt run down for not even 48 hours, which you're like, oh, that sounds a little bit like COVID. But I had COVID, and it did not feel like COVID at all. It was totally a different thing.
Yeah, it was probably just exhaustion.
I think probably a little bit of that.
Yeah, because every time I've gotten con crud, it's not just, I'm a little congested. It's like,
right.
Thank
you.
Thank
you, Tony.
Thanks.
I've never gotten it. I hope I never get it.
Wow.
But it's probably going to happen, let's be honest.
And it could be just about anything, but just the generic kind of... And,
imagine being at the signing table.
And you sleep at a hotel for 4 days in a row, or however many days in a row, and of course it's always way colder, and it's who knows what goes on in those
we
things.
turn that...
We crank it down.
Yeah, crank it down because we did... so much walking. So much walking at Gen Con.
Well, it wasn't bad. I mean, normally you do a lot of walking.
Yeah, always
did you? Every year I mean to check my steps, and I never do. Did you check yours at all?
I didn't. I know the last time that I went with a pedometer, I averaged 7 miles a day.
Yeah.
And that's just, you figure from our hotel to the JW that first day.
Yeah, right.
You guys weren't attached.
We were attached.
And that's the only reason why my steps were way down compared to Gen Con in the past.
Right. But the thing of it is, the hotel we were staying at, we were at the Hyatt, the Hyatt Regency. Yeah. It's at this end of the building. The JW is attached to this end of the building, all the way on the other end. Yeah. So you were walking across the street, through the mall and the garage, and then into the convention center, then all the way down to the other end and the other kiddie corner.
And where
go to the JW.
Where our elevator came down, it was actually faster. It was a hair closer to just go out the door right there and walk across the back instead of going using the skywalk.
Instead of
using the skywalk, because then you don't have to walk all the way down and over and all the way back. But I mean, honestly, for a Gen Con, I did way less walking than I normally have done in the past. But it's still, I'm sure.
I still came home.
It's still a lot, right?
I came home with blisters.
My body is not used to that much walking for 4 days in a row.
Right.
Right. And that's why I took the walking class at school, so I could prepare for stuff like this.
Yeah, and I had been lax. I've been going to the gym or biking for a while because my back was hurting me. So.
Right. And I haven't been because I'm fat and lazy.
I'm also that, but
just saying.
But,
so the new position really helps with the lighting. Look at it. Look at these four beautiful. Look at these fascia.
No,
look
it's
at the
worse
fascia.
because now you can see my face.
I know.
But so,
Joey, Joey was raising your hand. What would you like to say?
So you guys all know how I work at Meijer, right?
Yes.
So over the course of my 2 months there, this man right here has come through my line twice.
It's like it's the closest grocery store to my house.
Yeah,
it's the one that I go to all the time.
I'm gonna go out of my way just to harass you.
Well, and I told my wife both times.
Right ahead.
Both times I go some quick shopping at night, and Joey's working, and I see him, and Meijer doesn't have a lot of lanes open with actual human beings in them.
Yeah,
it's either one or two generally. Well, and both times I was lucky enough I didn't have to wait to get Joey, but I'm like, well, I'm going to make Joey do work and serve me. So
you're going to bring 11 items in a 10-item lane.
Hey, you know what, man?
I could easily have gone through this self-check, but I wanted to give Joey something to do.
You know what? That's fair.
We were talking about this, and we're going to talk about you in front of your back for a minute here. Yeah. Heather and I were talking about this because it's so funny when you look at our two kids and the differences between them, because when Joey's working and we come through and he sees us, it's like he goes out of, hey mom, how you doing? If it were our daughter, she'd see us and she would be mortified,
run and hide.
It'd be like, oh my god,
can you
my parents are here.
These people? Yeah.
Can you go into another line, please?
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not actually allowed to cashier for like family members and stuff because apparently it's a thing where like.
It's almost like you could steal for them.
Oh,
exactly.
Weird.
That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, did you tell him that you would charge your family members double?
Extra? Yeah.
See if that works.
I don't like my family. I'm going to charge them more.
Why? We are already don't have that much money.
Yes, we are.
Wow.
We are poor, as evidenced by the
giant case full of toys behind us.
Yeah. No comment.
I am completely destitute at this point.
I never said destitute. I just said we don't have that much money.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Well, so I may have made a fatal mistake today, but I did it anyway. Yes, fatal.
Oh boy.
All right, so I'm gonna plug a product, not because we're being sponsored, but because I discovered it and it's freaking awesome for our comic book collecting fans out there. It's a website called Cover Price, COVR, no E, Cover Price. It lets you. It tracks sales on the large online comic shops and eBay for comics. You can enter your collection, and it will give you a fair market value for every comic as it's been sold. And it'll tell you, it gives you little notices like, hey, the last time this comic book sold was more than 6 months ago. But it tries to give you an estimate of what they're worth. And I stumbled onto it when I was doing. When I was searching for those
packs,
those blind packs. Thank you.
Walmart. It's like I was paying attention to Tony talking one day.
Right, one day.
It's rare.
So I went and I subscribed to it. Man, I'm like, let's look at what their top key books are, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have that book. It's worth how much? No. Mm-hmm. And so I've started plugging I've been chugging along. I've got about a quarter of my collection in. I have 5 of those drawers over there out of the 16 are plugged in. I'm up over $8,600, and I showed my wife. So
why? Shit! That is an absolute fatal mistake. I was wondering if he had to choose between a baby on the road and something else. But no. The fatality was his own comic book.
Finish that analogy.
Well, the funny thing was, she's looking at it. I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, look, this way, because the whole reason I started doing this was because we were talking about it. She goes, that if you ever die, I'm not going to know what the fuck to do with any of that stuff. Right. It's going to go to the recycling center. I'm like, no. So I showed
What's your wife's phone number? I'm going to text her right now so she has me on speed dial, just in case.
How about this? I can just take some of the cheaper comics to read for myself, and then you can sell the rest.
So actually, or you can inherit the collection,
right?
And then you can do whatever you want with it.
It's only going to go up, right? That's the kind of thing that it sounds goofy to call that an investment because it's not an investment, but it is a thing that you've enjoyed to have, and it's worth some money. So it's good to know that it has some value, and it is something that absolutely will only ever go up in price. And it may not go up exponentially, but it will go up.
Oh, right. Well, and that's the thing. Star Wars number 48, I've had in my collection for over 20 years. Since it came out in 1980, because it is the cover with the bounty hunters. It's got Boba Fett and Dengar. It's the first appearance of Boba Fett and the first appearance of Yoda, but it's in an adaptation of the movie. So you don't think about that as a first appearance of. It's a fucking adaptation. And all of a sudden, and it's been a $10 comic for 3 decades. I looked it up. I blinked. I'm like $318 key. What? The last 18 months
just made everything go crazy.
It's made it insane. I'm like, for 3 decades, this was a $5 to $10 book. Now you're telling me, I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna complain.
Right.
I'm like, I might actually take it, go get graded, because graded, it's going for about $1,200.
Yeah, and that might be worth spending the money to get it graded.
So I'm using cover price. I'm getting everything entered, and I'm getting an idea of the value. And anything that's worth, if the book is worth more than $100 if it's graded, I'm gonna fucking grade it. It's worth spending $20.
Is it only $20? I thought it was a lot more than that.
No.
Wow.
You subscribe. It depends on which service you use. CBCS is a little bit cheaper, but CGC, when you subscribe to CGC, like the $150 tier is what I do, and they give you $150 in credit on the site. So it's like, okay, that's
so you
just
can get multiple books graded.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha. I honestly thought it was like $75 or more per book.
So the books are graded if they are modern age, which is anything newer than 1974. It's a flat rate. It's like $22 if you're a non-member, $18 if you're a member. And anything older than that is based on the value of the book.
Right.
So if they go in and they grade your, Action Comics number 1,
well,
that's worth, well, so a Spider-Man or Amazing Fantasy 15 just sold. I saw it online.
Isn't that like a little bit of self-dealing in a way?
Oh, it absolutely is. But the thing is, they don't set the market value, right? So a slabbed copy of Amazing Fantasy or Spider-Man number 1, I don't remember just one just yet. I think it was Amazing Fantasy, just sold for $3.4 million and broke the world record.
And it's because they're providing a service that's increasing the value of that product. It's like an auction house charging a percentage as opposed to a flat fee. If they sell a $5 million painting, they're not just going to charge you $50 for the same painting. For a painting that was made by a fake and it's worth only $50, they're going to charge you 3% of the sale price of that.
Right, and that's
if you
about
have an
it.
extremely rare thing like Action Comics number 1 or something like that, the auction house, I assume, would.
They get a percentage,
Oh, yeah. So,
now that's something that I know. I'm assuming that's not new. It's just something that you just started using.
Cover price?
Yeah.
Because
that stuff's been around for Magic for years and years.
Yeah.
And Magic isn't, obviously has only been around for 20 plus years. So,
right. So there have been other sites where they were essentially just the spreadsheet, but this is the first one. This is really akin to what TCG Trader would be for Magic cards or any
it sounds exactly
card
like
game.
It's a marketplace, and you can just plug in your collection and see what it's currently going for.
Actually, there's no marketplace on this site.
Really?
It is strictly
it's pretty bare bones.
Yeah,
wow, that's kind of surprising. Is there such a thing that exists?
I'm sure there is. I'd have to dig. But cover price, if you say I want to buy it, it goes online and it aggregates. It's like, here's eBay. You can go. But there's no direct sales. I don't know if there's any way for me to.
They don't have a seller platform.
I don't
think
interesting.
They have a marketplace.
Right. Go take a look at the marketplace. It's not actually. If you look
can't
at
set
it
up
in
an
the
account
comics,
and post your things and say, I want to sell all these, and then they handle it, because that's what TCG does, right?
Right.
You can sell direct to other people, or you can sell to TCG, and then TCG handles all of it.
Moon Knight 3 2021,
right.
It doesn't look like it's got.
But the cool thing is it gives you the hot, it identifies key issues. So first appearances, awesome art, things like that. So it identifies the keys. It also identifies trends and the hot book. So it'll tell you, hey, this book has seen a 10% increase in sales over the last week or over the last 30 days. But yeah, I'm getting my house in order, and it's stunning me. It's some of these books I'm going, well, I'm not that attached to that book. I'd rather have.
I mean, it's good to know, right?
Absolutely. It's like if I take that and I get it slabbed 8 months from now, I can have $1,000 in my pocket. That sounds like a pretty good idea.
The one that kills me is I used to have Dark Empire 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to find out see how much it's worth now.
Dark Empire 2, and that's the thing. I was looking like Dark Empire 2 issue 3, I think.
Yeah.
They've got it listed as a key and worth like $15. I'm like, really? Yeah. It's a middle of a second series that was inferior to the first. It's just so weird. It's so weird. Yeah. You know, people are like, oh, Star Wars. It's like Star Wars #2 by Marvel. First appearance of Obi-Wan. I'm like,
but not really.
But,
is it? The guy we've known about since 1977 or whatever.
I mean, granted, the comic came out before the movie, but is it?
Okay, I guess.
It's still a comic adaptation. People are going, I need the first appearance of Obi-Wan. It's like, it's not like anyone was surprised. You know? It's not like when Venom appeared out of nowhere in issue 300.
You know what Obi-Wan would say? Hello there.
Hello there.
Come here, my little friend.
That was better. Joey did it better.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Well, so you've got the two hello there. So you've got the you've got the Alec Guinness.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
I
was thinking about you.
Well, we should have a drink.
That was a much better
Alec.
Yeah.
I am older than him.
That's right. Yeah. See, your Obi-Wan is old man Obi-Wan, who apparently. In the what's the timeline between
19 years?
It's in 19 years. He aged 45 years.
Yes, exactly.
How does that work out?
Anime logic, man. Have you know it is an anime?
The magic of movies.
Well, Tatooine is a hard.
Yes, I mean he doesn't have any moisturizer.
And see, what they didn't show is that Obi-Wan smoked a lot. They never showed that because they couldn't do that.
That's actually what the miniseries is. It's a crossover with The Hobbit.
Right. Well, and then you look at Luke's aunt and uncle.
In the area.
And Tatooine.
You look at Luke's aunt and uncle at the end of the third movie. They're like 22 years old,
right?
And then 19 years later, they're 70 years old.
Hey! Just remember, a year is technically the revolution around the Earth around the sun.
That's right.
Tatooine, they got twin suns.
They got different stuff going on over there.
They're being slingshotted around there.
If you've ever noticed older movies, right? Specifically, even in the 70s is way newer than generally speaking. But if you go back and look at movies, like the first color movies, colorized movies, whatever they would call them.
The talkies.
The talkies. When you go back and look at those actors and look at how old the actors were, they look like they're
Singing
in their late 40s and in their early 50s, and they're 29 and 33.
That's because
it's like people look so much older back then. It's all the booze and all the smoking. It's all the steak and eggs they're eating.
That sounds so good,
right?
I mean, dear God, if it weren't for the gray in our hair, you and I have the faces of cherubs.
I've grown into mine, but I was a baby face until I was into my late 30s for sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean.
Yeah,
I don't have. I mean, no crow's feet going on.
You've got
nearly 50.
You've got that hot olive Italian blood, baby. that olive complexion in that Italian blood, baby.
He actually fills the cracks in his skin with green stuff.
He sculpts it every morning. He has a sculpt himself.
I get I get the milliput. And I take the alcohol to smooth it. Yes.
My favorite age story is I was 30 years old going on the Riverboat Casino, and you only had to be 18 to get on. And I was it was me and my father-in-law, and I got carded to get on. I was 30. You only had to be 18. You didn't have to be 21. And I got carded. He laughed. He never laughed so hard in his life. We got on the boat. He's like, hey, 18-year-old, want me to buy you a beer? I'm like, a few, man. I was 30, no gray hair.
When I was that age, it was the pack of cigarettes I got carded for, where I was like, oh, thank you.
And it was back far enough that it wasn't. Oh, we card everybody.
Right.
No, they didn't card everybody. There was plenty of people that didn't.
For me, it's the opposite. People always assume I'm like
a little older than you are,
like 5 years older.
They assume you're already 21, and
like it's weird.
If he wasn't so honest, I'd have to worry about him bar hopping.
Right?
He'd never do it.
That night,
we won't even take a beer sitting right next to
us. Your haircut helps because you don't have like the common 18-year-old boy kind of emo do that a lot of kids have these days. You're kind of wearing you're a little high and tight, so you kind of have a more mature haircut with a little bit more mature glasses, so you look a little older.
It's the cowlick, man. I don't have any other choice.
I'm not picking. I'm saying.
Hey, I rocked a mullet hard. When I went into the army,
the mullet's coming
back.
Yeah, and I'm not from the
mullet.
It's officially back, actually.
Yeah, and I wasn't in my teens in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in my teens in the 80s. Thank you very much.
Either way.
Fuck you.
What do you mean?
Damn kids.
Goddamn kids.
Oh,
so speaking of damn kids,
yes.
Last night I took my other damn kid.
I saw the pictures.
I took her to go see Slipknot. It's the first time I'd seen him live.
Oh, really?
So I didn't start listening to him until about 10 years ago.
I thought that was it was Korn you've seen like 4
times.
Oh
yeah, okay. I've seen them so many times.
Yeah.
But no, it was because of Guitar Hero 3 when he was really little. Before I Forget was his jam.
Nice.
His favorite songs when he was a kid came off of Guitar Hero. It was "School's Out" by Alice Cooper.
Nice.
It was "Surrender" by Cheap Trick.
Sure, yeah.
It was "Fire It Up" by Black Label Society.
Come on, baby.
And it was "Before I Forget" by Slipknot.
And there was that one Nickelback song, I think.
I blocked that.
Come on. We don't speak of Nickelback.
Everybody maligns Nickelback. They're fine.
If you say so.
I don't.
Hey, you know,
I mean, what's your opinion of Creed?
I loved Creed.
I loved the first.
I
saw them live.
Actually, I loved the second album way better. Second and third album way better
than
yeah. I didn't like the first album. It was too radio. Oh, shut up. It was too radio-y. Yeah. But then
Scott Stapp was a dick.
He had addiction problems.
He had issues.
He may have been a dick also, but he had addiction problems.
Right. They were mutually exclusive.
The thing that I never saw Creed as Creed, right? But then I saw Alter Bridge play at a festival, and it was like day one of the festival, like the noon slot. Like it was like it was like Jim Brewer and his band, and then Alter Bridge, and I'm like, well, this can't be good. Right?
And Alter Bridge is Miles Kennedy on vocals, right?
Yes, but it's the same band with Miles Kennedy, and I've seen Miles Kennedy, who I think
played with Slash for years,
and I think did he play with Thin Lizzy? I saw Thin Lizzy years ago.
Really?
Open for Judas Priest, and I think Miles Kennedy was the vocalist, and he was awesome. Like they were great, and so then I saw Alter Bridge on the main stage on day one of this festival, and I was like, oh my god, this is embarrassing. Like I was embarrassed for them. It was so awful. The sound was awful. The singing was awful. The songs were awful because it was all new songs.
Right.
They didn't do any Creed stuff. It was all Alter Bridge stuff, and I could tell the musicality was of Creed, but boy, it was nothing like they were.
It's like a pale imitation.
They were trying to be different. Was the point, right? You could tell the riffs were similar because it's the same artists, but they were trying to be different, and it was just awful.
If I had to be honest, like yes, I did enjoy their stuff when they came out, and then like I'm not musically inclined. I don't know, like I always enjoy the fact that people can play instruments. I can't.
Right.
But I was trying to like figure out like why does everybody hate this guy,
right?
Or why do people hate Nickelback? And I get it. Like nowadays, I'm listening to the radio, and when everything sounds the same.
The problem with Nickelback, Creed was they were a pretender to the whole mid '90s post alternative. That they hit it big on the radio, but to me they were no different than your Three Doors Down.
They were
Seven,
a radio
Mary
band, baby.
3.
Absolutely, they were a radio band.
It was, but there was nothing really there. Nickelback is the douchebag party band that took over it
was kind of a dude bro band for a while.
Well, exactly. It was like the whole
the frat boy, yeah, exactly.
And I've heard, I've obviously never seen Nickelback live, but I've heard that they put on a hell of a concert. That they're really good live.
Jerry Cantrell loves Nickelback.
Yeah.
And anytime someone, and Jerry Cantrell is, one of my top 3 bands of all time.
Right.
And he goes, whenever someone says something about Nickelback, all he does is go, You ever seen them live?
They're supposed to be great live.
Shut the fuck up.
They're supposed to be great live.
Go see them live.
Hey, and you know what they didn't do? They didn't ruin Woodstock. Thank you very much, Limp Bizkit. Thank you, Fred Durst, you MFer.
Yes, no. Red Hot Chili Peppers had a part to play in that too, and Limp Bizkit.
And they
Flea out there with his dick swinging in the wind.
It didn't help, certainly, but come on, it was the one song.
Oh yeah,
it was the one song.
So
and they didn't ruin a Super Bowl halftime show by pissing off the fans by playing it. Making them think they're gonna play in one song and then actually playing another. Looking at you, Travis Scott.
What are you talking about?
Back in Super Bowl 2019, there was
What are you talking about?
There was this petition.
Nobody cares about Travis Scott. Not even the Kardashians.
They were trying. A bunch of fans were trying to get a petition to have "Sweet Victory" from that one episode of SpongeBob play during the Super Bowl.
Yes, right.
And it got a bunch of signatures, and
so it was kind of a social media thing for a while.
But they actually made us think it was going to happen, and they played the opening notes.
They trolled.
And then Travis Scott immediately switched it to sicko mode, which pissed people off.
Totally just trolled.
Well, but that's going back to Elvis Costello on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
In the 1970s, Elvis Costello came on and he started to play the radio-friendly song, and then he just stopped. And he goes, "There's absolutely no reason for me to play this," and he goes into the number that he wanted to play in the first place, but they didn't want to have him do. And then the Red Hot Chili Peppers did the same thing in '93, where they go on and they start playing. What is it? Sometimes I feel like Under the Bridge. So they start playing Under the Bridge,
right?
And they
just went into Give It Away.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why doesn't SNL learn their lesson? Because controversy is great radio.
Because it got him great pub the next day.
That's exactly
Sinead O'Connor.
SNL,
tearing up the Pope.
That might be the one thing they would take back, but everything else, I think they were perfectly happy with.
You know what though? I think why would you take that back? People remember it.
Because
we're still talking about it. But.
Because Lorne Michaels, while you're he wants you talking about his comedy show, not the shenanigans.
The Catholic Church, the schism in the Catholic Church.
Right.
The only thing I will say about Saturday Night Live is Kenan Thompson is probably
now we're on Saturday Night Live.
Right?
I love this. I love our show so much.
Has nothing to do with the topic at hand.
No,
go for it. No, please.
No.
I was just saying, Kenan Thompson, man.
Oh yeah,
hey,
I mean,
he does not have a cast that supports him.
He's got to be the longest tenured.
Now he is.
Is he now? Yeah. He's got.
He finally beat out Tim Meadows.
47 freaking years, and he's been there at least a decade.
Yeah.
Oh, at least.
It's
more than that.
So and Tim Meadows had it, and then even before Tim Meadows, I think it was God. He's dead. His wife killed him. What's his name now?
Phil Hartman.
Phil Hartman. I think he was the longest tenure.
He was on a long time, too. Yeah.
And not to mention that SNL gave me one of my favorite comedy moments where we just get to see Michael Key and Kenan Thompson just playing security guards for a Muppet Show, and they ended up beating the...
I remember that. That's a great episode. That's a great skit.
That Black Jeopardy with Tom Hanks on it.
It's probably one of the greatest moments on TV of all time.
Honestly, all the Black Jeopardies are fun.
Yeah, they're all really good.
Right.
But the one with Tom Hanks was great.
It was just... It was so out of the blue. You can't be trusting them. You're right. You're right.
What was it? What can a woman with a skinny butt do for you or something? He said absolutely nothing.
It was one of those
That
moments.
is the correct answer.
Oh, yeah.
That just goes to show we all have something in common.
Absolutely.
Everybody does.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does.
Everybody likes
Kumbaya.
Everybody likes a woman with
We're going to
a
end this episode with Kumbaya. I don't know how it goes. But
you know what the funniest thing about this episode is? You guys started with the topic you guys wanted to talk about.
Yes, and then we immediately left turned.
We didn't segue to it yet, but we segued from
out of it. Yeah, we've already segued out of it.
And before we segue back, there is something I want to bring up.
Absolutely.
So in the weeks since I was last on the podcast, Sony has announced that they are doing a remake of Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, and I am cautiously excited for it.
Is that a video game?
Yes.
One of the
It's the only thing he loves about Star Wars.
One of the greatest video games of all time. And I'm not... And
he's not the only one to say that.
Is this an MMO or is it a...
RPG?
Yeah, total RPG.
Just RPG,
player.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, the funny thing is, as soon as this news came out, I read about it. Mm-hmm. I messaged Joey more than... I stopped exactly what I was doing.
you knew who to call.
Yeah,
this is the man, like, no matter what we're talking about, he will segue into Stella Shan and Kodor.
Yeah?
Yeah, and...
Oh, Kodor, okay.
Yeah,
got it. I've heard that before. I'm like, Kodor.
Yeah, it's either
Skodor got it.
His reaction, nothing.
Yeah, that's because I immediately went onto the internet to validate, and I just went, "Holy shit!"
He was
in, and then he had a cardiac arrest.
He was in shock.
Okay,
I died for about 2 seconds.
But
20 minutes later, he pulled up his pants, and then everything was fine.
Anywho, I am cautiously excited because apparently they got for the remake. First off, it's being made by Asper, which. Apparently, this is their first actual video game, so that's
that doesn't sound good. So the same company that made the first one isn't doing this one?
No, BioWare is not involved. And
that's the good
apparently they got a writer that a lot of people on the internet
her name is Sam Maggs, and she is a fantastic writer.
Yeah, and...
Well, the internet sucks, so...
That's
and so do we, because we're on the internet.
For this,
so there's that.
I will give her the benefit of the doubt, and also, I'm just hoping Lucasfilm is involved, like, not so much to that it totally changed.
Okay, you are so excited. You're blown away. Bring it down a little bit.
Bring it down a little bit. The brain is so fast, and the mouth only goes so fast.
I just hope they're involved enough to the point where that not much gets changed in, like, the story department, because it was pretty perfect already. And like,
I feel like we need to do a topic on adaptation.
Here's what I would like to do.
We already did.
I'm interested in this, and I would like to ask Joey some questions.
Let's go for it.
So, but I would like for you to make them thoughtful and concise.
Of course.
Okay. So,
this will not end well.
Is this a continuation of the same story, or is it a redo of the original story?
It is an actual remake. It's retelling the same stories.
Retelling the same story.
With new gameplay and graphics, which is welcome.
Of course. So, it's a reboot, effectively.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay. So, now, in the world of like graphics and computerese, which I'm a grognard, so I have no clue how any of this stuff works. It's like, is it using like the newest, coolest engine? Like, is it using a new thing that's never been used before? Is it using a platform or an engine that's already well established and so it'll look really awesome? Or
I'm not sure, but graphics engines have gotten very good. If I had to take a guess, I'd say they would probably default to Unreal Engine 4, which is a really good graphics engine.
So what other games use that engine so I can relate?
Let's say Mortal Kombat 11.
Okay, try something else.
You're not going to know any of them,
probably
Todd.
Not. You're probably not. No, I as much of a grognard as I am, and I don't play any of these games, I see a lot of these games. I look at them on YouTube and stuff like that.
Right.
So they are interesting to me, but not so much that I want to spend any money to play them, because, number one, mostly because I'm awful at them. Like, they're all interesting, but I'm just not that guy. I went down, sorry, because I couldn't see Pasquale, so I had to... I shrunk myself a little bit. Sorry.
I know. I was
you just see the top of my head now?
Yeah,
there we go.
It is.
Sorry, I shrunk myself so I could see Pasquale.
No apology needed.
So that's interesting to me. So now, what kind of game is it when you say RPG? So the games I'm familiar with are like first person shooter games, or is it more a third person Mass Effect kind of run around game?
Actually,
or is it a both? Or is it like an MMO where you're following your guy around and doing stuff and interacting with people?
It's a bit of a mesh between the MMO and the third person. Like, you get your character, and like they have a set attacks. Like you can do like a single strike or like a flurry of attacks with like swords and lightsabers and stuff.
So very specifically, like Baldur's Gate that came out last year or whatever, year before, whatever. It's kind of I'm looking at my guy running around.
Yeah.
Am I going to look at my guy running around, or am I going to be watching, or am I just going to look at my hands like Fallout doing this?
You're going to be able to watch your guy, and you get two companions that you can also switch between your main character and the companions while you're playing.
So it looks like Batman Arkham Asylum, it runs on the Unreal Engine 4.
Okay.
Yeah, all the Arkham games.
All the Arkham games.
Yeah, and again, I've not played any of them, but I've seen all of them on YouTube.
Have you
Conan Exiles.
played any of the Jedi Academy games?
No.
That they had?
Yeah, I played the hell out of those.
My video game experience is very limited.
Jedi Fallen Order. Pretty sure that's got Unreal Engine 4.
Descent uses it. Dragon Ball Later C. I actually just did a Google search, and there are hundreds of games using this freaking engine. Thank you, Amapo. Thank you.
So it's well established. So it's not going to be a big shock. But also then it's like, so you got to pay all this money for this new game. But assuming it's way better than the original engine anyway. The graphics will be way cooler.
Yeah, for sure. The first game came out like 2003. Man.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know it was that old.
MechWarrior 5 uses it.
And
that's pretty popular games.
It'll also be interesting to see how like the different dialogue options transfer over, because like at first it's just like the cutscenes are like 2-camera situation where it's just like, hey, this person talks. You get to choose which dialogue you get in response, and there's like 10 options, but like most games nowadays go for just like
2 or 3 even, or
5 tops maybe.
Right. Interesting. So I mean, just to give you my basis in reality, like I still play Minecraft, number 1. I still play Fallout 4.
Okay.
I played when Fallout 76 came out. Like I get into there's a thing that I like, and then that's what I do. Because to me, it's the groundhog in me, right?
I played Minecraft, and all
the thing that I like is what I like to do. I play Minecraft because it's soothing.
Yeah.
It's relaxing.
But
there's very little stress.
You don't watch the YouTube channels, right?
Oh no!
I hate that shit.
Well, I mean,
I listen to the music on YouTube.
That's fine. I do that all the time.
But like 100 guys running around doing all crazy. No, I'm not interested in that.
There is one Minecraft YouTuber who I actually still kind of like, Stampy Cat. Basically,
not Stampy Cats.
It's literally just him and his companions adding to his world and stuff. It's really nice.
Someone did go into Minecraft and recreated the
Lord of the Rings,
Lord
right?
of the Rings.
I saw that. Yeah. I haven't gone to that.
It's Minas Tirith, I think, right?
I have to go to YouTube and look at it. I thought they created like the whole world. Like it took them 10 years or some crazy thing, but Minas Tirith is just one of them. But
I thought it was just Minas Tirith.
Maybe it is. I have to look. I don't know.
But still,
I did see some blurb somewhere. I'm like, I have to go to YouTube and look that up and see what it looks like.
Anywho,
oh sorry, I interrupted you with commentary.
God forbid.
I hope the KOTOR remake is going to turn out well, and if it does, it'd be interesting to see how a remake of KOTOR 2 would turn out, because there was like
there's a KOTOR 2,
right?
Yeah, and it was actually made by a different company than BioWare as well. That one was made by Obsidian, and
so if they're rebooting, isn't that weird in a video game to reboot the original story?
Not really, but like
it's not really.
So companies do it all the time.
I think they call it a remake. I read the press release.
Yeah,
but if you're gonna bring writers on and stuff,
something's gonna.
I think they're updating it.
Yeah, but like
they're just they're going back to the original. It's a timeline thing generally, right? So if the timeline is starts at 1 and the original went through 1 through 100, and now they're going to go, and then the next one would be 100 through whatever, or they'd advance it 100 years and then do it another whatever.
Yeah.
Like even again, I'm a Fallout guy, so Fallout advances the storyline, or it's in a completely different geographical area and a geographical area.
Minecraft,
but it's like Minecraft. But KOTOR, it is kind of unusual. It seems to me that would be unusual to completely redo the original story. Yeah. So obviously they'd have to redo it. They have to change things.
Tweak it a bit. Yeah,
so if they're doing it in a completely different... I mean, Star Wars it's the universe, right? They could literally do the same timeline in a completely different planet or system.
Right.
And do the same time period and redo this. Here's the next one in a completely different part of the world.
So, and while I get that, what they're going after is they're remember, first of all, this is a game that's over 20 years old.
Right.
It's a little under, actually.
Okay, it's a 20-year-old game.
It's a 19-year-old game.
Pedantic.
It'll be 20 by the time of the release.
Right. So, it's a 20-year-old. You're talking about a 20-year-old game that is now no longer considered canon. It's Disney legacy. It's legacy. So I think this is I think they're gonna do it along the lines of what they've done with Thrawn in the new stuff, where because they created Grand Admiral Thrawn, was a fantastic character that everybody loved, even though he was in 3 books and then he died, and then but those books were still the pinnacle of the writing from 1991 until Disney bought it. So, from 91 to
So the new one will be canon?
Yes. Anything
Disney canon.
Yes, it will be Disney canon. So it'll be bringing these
that's another good reason to redo it.
Right.
And besides, it's not like remakes haven't done well in the past. I mean, the remake for Resident Evil 2 is often considered a fan favorite.
I didn't even know they did a remake for Resident Evil 2.
They just upgraded it was upgraded graphics is what it comes down to.
Yeah, so it's not really a remake though. It's the same story. Like they didn't change the story.
That's essentially what video game remakes are. Keep the story mostly the same, maybe change a few things and just overhaul the graphics and gameplay.
Honestly, I want them to take this game and I want them to keep the characters and completely rewrite it so that people like him have what's the point in replaying a role-playing game where you already know what the end result is going to be?
You don't want to do the same thing over again. You want a new story, a new plot, a new ending, a new the characters can be the same, but you want a new twist and all that.
Why a new twist? The first one was perfect.
Well, then go read the first one again. The new one is going to try to get you interested and get new people who are now interested, like me in canon. Like, I never played that old game. I never read any of the Thrawn books. Like, I would be interested in at least checking that game out, even if I'm just watching other people play it on YouTube, to learn what the canon is all about and the end game and all that kind of fun stuff. Like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Okay, but like when they just released a remaster of the Mass Effect trilogy and they just updated graphics, changed nothing else.
Wow.
Fans love that.
Well, that's and the same thing with Diablo. Like they just redid Diablo 2.
And they did the same thing with Doom.
And they've done it with Skyrim for 10 years.
What do they do with Mass Effect? Did they just remaster it?
Yeah, they just like updated the graphics, and sadly they did have to cut out one of the DLC because like the code was corrupted, but yeah, it's essentially just fixed graphics.
So, anywho.
And
interesting.
Sorry. I just think if first one does well, it'd be interesting to see how they handle 2, because like that one has a much more complex storyline, complex like moralities and stuff, and a whole lot of cut content. That'd be interesting to see if they would actually add some of it back in, like an entire storyline for HK-47. Plus, there's something in the second game I hope they completely remove in a remake. That being the fact that they gender locked 2 of the companions.
Okay,
that's
a little granular, but okay.
Yeah. you dialed down to a level that none of us are going to speak to.
Nobody has any idea what you're talking about. That's okay, but good for you, man.
We're excited that you're excited.
Yeah.
So check that out. I had Derek print that for me. It's supposed to be like a cyberpunk Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
So I can't.
So Johnny Silverhand.
Very cool. In like a 1/35th scale almost.
Yeah.
That's a big scale. Very cool.
Anywho. All right, so
sideboard.
Sideboard. We've only been at this for 45 minutes, so let's circle back around, shall we?
So, how was GenCon?
Should we do a quick day by day breakdown?
So Wednesday Todd abandoned me in the city.
I love it.
By design. By design.
Okay. Indianapolis.
By design.
It was by design.
I mean,
so the funny thing is, I knew other people who were going to be in town Wednesday, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll find something to do. Yeah, everybody was either getting in really late Wednesday, or they were in the same conference that he was in.
I told him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go. And he's like, can I ride with you? I said, that's great. And then I ended up riding with him. But anyway.
Did you abandon him by that sewer tank that smells like ass?
Right. I told him, I'm like, well, the only reason I'm going as early as I am is because of trade day, because they've combined the Alliance distribution trade day with the GenCon trade day, and it's not nearly what it's going to be, what it was in the past, but they've combined them, so I'll get some value out of it. And then but you can't come because you have to be a retailer or be employed by a retailer, and you have to have
next year. I'm lying.
You have to you have to show credentials. Like it's kind of a big deal.
I'll reach out to
you. Go sweep Grognard's for a week.
I'm Derek Glassman.
And sure, yes, you are. Anyway, so yes, I abandoned Tony all day long, and then he, like a little puppy, he followed me around.
Oh,
and I said, "No, Tony, you can't come into this room."
So I wandered around. The funny thing was, I'm sitting there, I'm walking around outside. I'm like, I'm going to wander over to the JW Marriott and see if I can catch some of the people I know in between these sessions that they're doing, just to hang out for a little bit. Because what else am I going to do? Nothing.
Right.
So I'm wandering toward the JW and I'm hearing music. And it turns out right behind the JW, there's this big music amphitheater. And it turns out that as I was wandering down that way, I was hearing the sound check for Coheed and Cambria, who were playing a concert that night.
Favorite House Atlantic.
Who?
Coheed and Cambria is the name of the band.
They are, and they're all a bunch of nerds like us.
Yes.
They're
awesome.
Gamers. They are comic book geeks.
Their songs are deliberately gamer songs.
Yes.
It's a concept prog rock band, really, is what it is.
And then, so I'm looking up, I'm like, oh, hey, they're playing tonight. Oh, wait, tomorrow. Wait, Primus is playing tomorrow night? Wait a minute. Friday, Rob Zombie's playing? So during our wandering around town, we could catch glimpses in our ears of the music playing, because you could hear it all the way down by the convention center.
They played Dragula?
Didn't hear Dragula.
I'm sure they played it, though. That's one of his hits. So Rob Zombie's a greatest hits guy. He doesn't. There's not a lot of originality in that set. It's a great set, but it's not a lot of, it's his greatest hits.
Well, I mean, the man's been doing it for almost 30 years now. And you go to a Rob Zombie show and you don't hear Dragula, you're going to be pissed.
You're going to run, right?
It's like if
Coheed is a concept, prog rock band, and they did their greatest hits.
Right.
So they're on their greatest hits tour. 2 years ago, they did their concept album tour, where they would play one whole album start to finish, which is what Rush was doing Primus was doing as a Rush band.
Right.
So, that's why it was really interesting that Coheed was playing the night before Primus, because it's like they're kind of all the same thing, right? All three of them are kind of concept bands originally, anyway. So,
and they all got that little bit of that little bit of a prog in them.
Absolutely. Rush was 100% a prog.
Oh, they absolutely were.
Yeah.
So let's see. So Thursday, here's what I'll say about GenCon this year. The downside to GenCon this year is you didn't have the biggest publishers there. There was no Asmodee, so no Fantasy Flight, no AMG,
they were too busy
CMON.
selling themselves to another VC group.
Right.
Well, yeah, there's that
we'll
too.
See how that goes.
But there was no Paizo either. There was no CMON. There was no ELO. None of the big. But WizKid showed up for the first time in 5 years, 4 years.
Been that long.
Now we can get some goodwill going instead of being badmouth.
Wow, I did not realize that. That's crazy.
So the last time they were there, they caused a scene where because they're convention exclusives, right?
Yeah.
And people were rushing the door. And a girl, and if you saw it, you had those pillars between the doors. Yeah. A girl got smashed and got crushed in there because everybody was trying to push because they brought, and it was the year that they had the Deep Space Nine crew cards for that game, because you could only get them if you got this one exclusive pack, and they only brought 50 per day. And anytime a company does that, I'm like, you're going to a convention where you're going to have tens of thousands of people.
60,000 unique entries.
Yes. Even this year.
At its height.
Oh, 75.
Was it that high?
Yeah.
I thought it was 60.
No.
And we've discussed this on the podcast, but the thing is, when you have a game where the cards are not available any other way, like not even as an alt art form, that's when you're going to cause issues.
Right. And
it's been a running joke for 10 years that when the doors open, you've got the runners, right?
Yes.
Like everybody, get out of the aisles,
move.
And the one year that I went early as a store, and I got into the hall an hour early, it was like ding, 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 ding. You got 5 minutes till the doors open, and everybody's like, okay, get against a pillar, get somewhere, because the runners are coming. The runners are coming. Like, you need to get out of the way because they will run your ass right over if you do not get out of the way. And boy, they did.
Absolutely, and that's that way for just about every convention.
Right.
You're talking about the people, when you go to Comic-Con, you go to C2E2, for example, they've got these queues. These queues are massive because you walk in and you got to go through the metal detector, and you go through and they line you up in these big batches. And we're talking about people who are getting there at 5 a.m. for a 10 a.m. floor call.
Right, yeah.
So they're sitting there, and the moment it opens, like you said, it's just like a
literally
bat
running.
out of hell.
They're running.
They will walk. they will do that power walk until such a point that they're past security.
Right.
And as soon as security's gone, they're like,
it's a sprint.
well,
yeah.
It's a nerd sprint.
Right? It's kind of like a gamer's medium is an extra large or a 2XL.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a gamer's sprint.
It's just like that one clip of the sumo just absolutely running.
Yeah, more like a quick waddle, really. A double speed waddle.
We're speaking of ourselves, of course.
Oh, we're these are my people.
Yeah, exactly.
I am these people.
But this year it was actually rather nice. WizKids, they did not. All right, so I haven't bought a WizKids product in 5 years. I've just they pissed me off with one set, and I was done with the whole collectible side of that thing. You go right ahead if you would like it. Well, no, we can't send him up for any more Coke.
No, don't do that.
Yeah,
it's so fun watching him release the.
Do you want to hear dogs barking?
No.
Anyway.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So
let's ask Twitch.
For HeroClix, I stopped collecting because of their practice of all the limited edition and the chases, and there was a set that I wanted everything of that they made. Oh, you can only get this set if you play in sealed events, which means you can buy them at 3 at a time. I'm like, I've got kids. I can't attend 4 events a week, so I can try and collect this. Oh, and there's a chase that's 1 every 20 packs, and there are 8 of those chases too. Okay, so. Fuck you.
And I get some of that is designed to promote sales. Some of that is to promote play.
Yes.
And so as a game store owner, I get and I appreciate that they're trying to promote play. But like you said, Tony, it's like, I have a life. Like, I can only do this once a week,
Right.
Maybe twice 5 times a month or something like that. I can't get out there and do all these to try to get all these things. So sometimes it's about... Yeah, it's cool to do that kind of thing. Chase figures are fun, and chase cards are fun, and Magic and chase. Everything is fun, but when it's so limited, it can be a detriment as opposed to a promotion.
And the other side, and this was one set, because the thing is, I resigned myself even years before that not to be a completist with HeroClix. I just couldn't do it. But they put out a set that of War of Light, which is one of my favorite comic runs. I'm like, I want it all.
I still remember
this is the one set. This is the only set where I want everything.
Yeah.
And they made so much of it so limited, and then they put out so many different prizes. It's like, God damn. I mean, it would have cost me $2-3 grand to finally collect. I'm like, I can't do this, and I got pissed off, so I left it. Now, their D&D stuff and their everything they do that's outside of HeroClix and Dice Masters is really, really cool. Their D&D figs are awesome. Their Pathfinder figures are awesome, especially for the price point. Even their pre-painted D&D stuff is really pretty cool.
Yeah.
I will not support their limited edition competitive model anymore.
Chase stuff, yeah.
I won't chase it down.
I totally get that, right? And it's a fine line. It's really hard. I can imagine it's very difficult for companies to determine where it's valuable and how far to go with it and how far not to go with it. And it's probably great in some areas and not so great in other areas. And you got big metropolitan areas that are like Chicago, like classically northern giant cities, Chicago, New York, LA, not so good at that kind of thing. But southern giant metropolis, Dallas and Austin and Atlanta and large cities in the South and places that Minneapolis, obviously northern city, but they do great. Everywhere in Wisconsin, those kinds of places, Madison and Milwaukee, they do great with those kinds of things. It's weird. It's very regional, and so it's hard for companies to decide what to do and when to do it and how to do it because you can never make everybody happy, which sometimes feels like you're not making anybody happy because the vocal minority is always going to be the vocal minority.
And it always seems like it's bigger than it is. And I mean, I completely. I've been doing this for how long? I completely get that. But the WizKids, when it comes to their competitive games, they cater to the competitive player. The straw that broke the camel's back were it's like, oh, this piece is going to be packed 1 in every 20 packs. It's one of these chase pieces. Oh, by the way, it's so overpowered that there's a 90% chance that the person who pulls this in a sealed event is going to win that event.
Yeah.
Just because it's that overpowered. And they're going to win a limited edition figure.
Because they pulled that.
Because they pulled it. And that limited edition figure, not only is it a cool chase piece for your collection, but it's also grossly overpowered. So those who have it all. You know, you get this disparity between the haves and the have-nots.
And then when I think about Magic the Gathering, like, oh, not quite to that degree, but the same kind of thing can happen in a brand new Magic set.
Right.
And then, 60 days later, all of those cards are banned anyway, so you're not going to be able to play with them regardless.
Right.
So when you first got them, they were worth $13 a piece, or $16 a piece, or $25 a piece.
Right.
And then, they're so awesome, they're so awesome, they're so awesome. Oh, crap, they're too awesome. Oh, heck, they're going to get banned, and now they're worth 18 cents each.
That's why I'm really liked the LCG model when FFG started doing it.
Well, but to Friday Night Magic, your prizes are reprints of cards that already exist, right? You get foils, you get
mostly, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that I liked about FFG. That's one of the things I like about AMG. It's like, hey, if I win a tournament, I get this cool shiny thing that I can pull right out of a pack that I can go pull off the shelf. It just
but the
looks
art
cool.
looks way better.
Right. You get expanded art. You get. It doesn't impact the actual playing of the game.
Right.
It's that
Magic's pretty good about your promo card that everybody gets is a cool card, but it's usually not a powerful card.
Sure.
Right? But it's a cool card, and it is stamped significantly differently, so it is literally a different card.
Right.
Even though it's a reprint. And it usually has some small amount of value. $1.50, $2, $3. It's not a $15 card, right?
Right.
But then a lot of times it'll be a new card that comes out, and those cards they will get banned. I mean, Magic is it's an adjacent game, right? It's such an interesting and adjacent thing,
yeah.
right? They're both different in but they have a lot of similarities because they're so adjacent. It is an interesting dichotomy. Dichotomy? That's not the right word to use.
WizKids,
that's the right word.
Yeah, WizKids was back for the first time in 5 years, 4 years, and of course, as soon as all my friends found out, it's like, oh, you're going to GenCon? Can you get me the HeroClix exclusive stuff?
This gave me heartburn, and I didn't have to do any work. Didn't have to do anything.
I was just simply answering. No.
And it just gave me heartburn listening to Tony and his things. I'm like, oh
so
my God.
So the funniest part about it was my friends reach out, people who I actually know, who are actual friends.
And that's fine.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll do what I can to hit this up for you. No problem. You know, my buddy Larry, he sent me like $150 for this stuff that he bought, and then he threw an extra $30 on top of it.
And this was the year to do it because it wasn't so crushingly crazy like it was in the previous year.
I walked in the door very calmly. Yeah, I didn't have to run.
Well,
I walked right up to the WizKids booth.
They didn't just open the doors and let everybody run in. They were checking everybody. They were letting in. It was kind of a wave thing.
Right. I will say, just judging from the photos, like the photos that I have saw, I didn't see as much social distancing as I would have liked, but it sounds like everybody was wearing masks.
So it's hard to do first thing in the morning,
right?
Okay, because everybody's going to get there to try and get on the floor early. Yeah. I was not one of those. We were not one of those. No. I think you went over and you stood up top to watch.
And I stood way back and took one video thing and waited till the throng answered.
Right. But even the throng, the thing is, and there was a whole Twitter thread on this too, where it's like, oh my God, look at what they're doing. I'm like, I see plenty of fucking carpet in between those people. God.
It was so much. I mean, it was 35% of what it was at its height.
Exactly. And someone's like, oh my God, that's worse than it was in 2017. And I said,
that's the most wrong thing I've ever heard in my life. Unbelievable.
Because in 2017, it was packed from one end of the convention center to the other. That entire hallway was filled. And I have the video that I took.
They were way down the hallway. Right. They were way down the other hallway. They weren't even in. It wasn't even just it was left, right, and north, south. Right. It was every direction. It was ass to nuts. Everybody. It really was. It was insanity. And this was. I mean, I'm not joking. It was probably 35% of what it was at its height.
So they're saying that they had 35,000 unique badges. So about half of what they.
And I think that's what they had said, that they were limited to half of their what capacity, quote unquote, should have been.
Right. But here's the thing. I did not wait in line to pick up my will call badge.
Nope.
It's like
walked right up.
It was like oh, I stood there. Oh, 10 seconds. Oh, they're free. Okay.
Yeah.
Literally,
walked
it was
right up.
You stood in the front long enough for the person to go, yep, there's your body. There. Mm-hmm. We got a flag up over there. literally everything was that quick. Buying, I'm like, because you have to go into a separate line to buy tickets for events. Oh, I just walked right up to the person. There was no line there, so I went and bought my tickets for my events. Walked right into the floor. Oh, getting the WizKids exclusives. Yeah. I slowly meandered over to the WizKids booth, and they handed me a yellow ticket. Mm-hmm. And they said the yellow ticket essentially told me what time to come back to buy my stuff. When I came back at that time, there was no line to buy this stuff. I mean, I did not wait in lines, which it's been 10 years since I didn't wait in a line at GenCon.
Yeah.
This was GenCon circa 2009, 2010.
I mean, it reminded me a lot of the first year of GenCon at Indy. Other than the first year of GenCon at Indy,
they didn't know more gamer folk.
They didn't know what they were doing, and so like the will call lines were atrocious,
right?
Because they didn't know understand how many people were going to show up. But other than that, it felt a lot like the very first GenCon because the stadium wasn't open. There was nothing really going on across the street. It was pretty much all contained in that one convention center, the convention center, and that was it.
And they had portions of the main hall were cordoned off.
They had giant portions of the
convention. They did not use the entire floor of the convention center
I bet 60% was my guess. 60 to 70% maybe.
They used about 70. Yeah, they left about 30
empty. Because it was kind of, the whole back row was completely empty.
Yeah.
And they had signs that said, for exhibitor relaxation, or not relaxation, but like exhibitor whatever. I'm like,
but additionally,
anybody could go back there and do whatever you want.
Additionally, the aisles were wider.
Yeah,
there were a lot of vendors that didn't show.
There were vendors that didn't show.
Booths.
Interesting.
A lot of empty.
I'm wondering
booths.
how much of that is supply chain, though.
It very well could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
One of the things that I would love to see, and this is just from me and my work and stuff, is when capacity does inevitably increase, you know, if we get past COVID and all that.
Past the 75 ships on the West Coast that are actually get unloaded,
what I'm saying is, you know, we got no supply chain issues. You got people who are finally vaccinated, you know.
Whatever. Yeah.
Lucas Oil Stadium is back in the full swing of things. It would be nice, because I love conventions when you actually have time to do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's
you're not
what
waiting
this
in
was.
And this is what I'm saying. So I actually think one of the queue things is have like a virtual queue system with QR codes. Like, so you're not waiting in line. So if like you actually get like you get like a time period to wait in line of like no more than 45 minutes, because that way you can go. Because the best parts about GenCon are actually going to some of the smaller publishers, or to try out some of the games that haven't been published yet, or you know, going to do like a role-playing game and like, you know, those random ones out of the box.
The hotel room. Well, the tough thing is,
because you don't want to be waiting in line like 3/4 of your day just for exclusives.
Very few exclusives I'm waiting for. I mean, you know, like Fantasy Flight. Yeah, if you want to wait in that 2-hour line. But the thing is, there's nothing exclusive in that 2-hour line that Fantasy Flight would bring. You know, for the X-Wing, all that was there was the new product that'll be out in 2 weeks. Yeah. Okay, you want to wait? And if you
advance as opposed to exclusive.
Exactly.
Yes.
Most of the WizKids, even back 5 years ago, they were trying to do a timed. They've done ticketing systems and things like that, raffles to see if you win. But there's still a crush to get that ticket first thing in the morning because nerds are gonna nerd. That's how we do.
The nerds are gonna nerd.
It's what we do. You know, and I'm not gonna. Back to the exclusives for a moment, because here's what kind of cheesed me off. I get a random text. Hey, I'm a friend of Carl's. He says you might be at GenCon. You know, Carl's a good friend of mine. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm here. What's up? Hey, would you mind picking up some of the GenCon, some of the exclusives for me? I said, okay. I'm like, all right, for a friend of a friend, I'll do that. What do you need? Now, there were a total of 4 exclusive HeroClix. All right, one of them was a $100 piece. One of them was a $30 piece. One was a $20, and one was a $15.
Okay, so $165.
Right. So you were limited.
Wait for it.
You were limited to one of the big one, and 2 of each of the smaller ones.
Gotcha.
Okay, that was your daily limit. That's what you could buy.
This dude wanted 3 of each.
I said,
that's good quality.
I said, okay, so what can I get for you? And he did this. Here's the funny thing.
So I got my Excel spreadsheet.
Then I got my friend's stuff Thursday morning.
Yeah.
No problem. I saw what the Ghost Riders were going for, paying $30, selling for $150. I went and bought 2 of them myself. Right after I get done and turned in my ticket and bought my stuff, I get this text. Hey, would you mind trying to... I'm like, well, I can see what I'm like, I've already been through the line for today. I'd have to go tomorrow or Sunday. What do you need? I need 2 of the $100 pieces, and I need 6 each of the others.
Right.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So he's become a bundler for other people.
He's a reseller.
So it turns out I've talked to Carl. This guy's actually he's a good guy. He's looking out for his guys in his community.
That's what I'm saying. Right. Bundler, right? So like 3 other people went to this guy, and then this guy went to Carl because he's got a connect.
Okay.
Right. So he's trying to he and I were talking. He's like, yeah, usually when I come down there, I buy 10 of everything because we don't get these exclusives up here in Canada. So I pick it up for my group and my crew.
Because you didn't drive and or travel and or fly to frickin' GenCon, which I did,
right.
And I spent $135 to get into the show.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, I spent $100 or $200 or $300 a night for the hotel every single night. Oh yeah, and I had to buy my own meals. They had to do everything else. Right. And so my total bill was $1,200.
I want to discuss food at the end.
Okay. So at the end of the day, I'm like, you want what?
Well, I mean, did you honestly, like, you didn't even just simply reply, I could buy, I could try, no guarantees, I could try to buy you one of this.
That's exactly what I told him.
But that's such a low-key event that he was able to do.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing.
This year he was able to do it.
Right.
Previous years, probably not.
I would, it would have taken a lot more resources, a lot more time. But the other thing is, okay, I'm like, I'll see what I can do. He was kind of haranguing me. Hey, I just confirmed that if they've got stuff left over on Sunday, they're gonna oversell. Right. They're gonna let people. I'm like, okay,
he's really invested in it.
Right.
For some weird reason, he's really invested in it.
You need to fucking.
I'm gonna do what I can do, and that's what you're gonna get.
At the end of the day, and the thing is, he doesn't know me from Adam, and I don't know him from Adam.
And that's another. Oh my god, this is what was giving me heartburn. And
well,
of course, I heard all this live.
Right. So. I said, okay, I've got my ticket. I went and I got the ticket. I said, all right, I got the ticket. This is how much it's going to be for the first wave. And he's like, okay, do you need the money up front or can you front me? I'm like, I said, okay. Need? No. Would like? Yes. So he goes, okay. So he sends it to me via PayPal. Fucking as a fucking business. Vendor,
not as a friend,
right?
Oh,
so $135, and they went
how much is the payment?
It was $235, and they took their 3% off the top. I'm like, so now I'm paying for your shit. And I said, dude, you sent friends and family. He goes, well,
tell him to send me an extra $10.
Well, and that's the thing. He goes,
wait for it.
He says, once you secure it and send me pictures. I'm like, okay. He's being cautious. He doesn't know me. I'm like, but he fucking reached out to me
because now you're in a business transaction as opposed to a friendly transaction.
Right. All right.
So now things have changed.
So I get him the first batch, and I was able to go back later that afternoon, and because I got a second ticket.
And that was when you and I walked over there, right? Yeah. And
so I bought
Tony's sweet talking him, and I'm like, they're sweet talking, and Tony's like, hey, well, what about this? And he's like, well, I don't know. And Tony's like, well, I'm going to go do this, and I'm like, I'm just walking away.
Yeah,
like, you guys do your thing.
And then at one point, because this was the day I was actually wearing my Grognard shirt. He goes, so are you with Grognards? I said, yeah. And I said, look, I'm not. I get it, but I'm not. I'm trying to take care of my guys who couldn't make it. So I was trying to build the goodwill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
He turned his salesman dial up a little bit, which is
I know.
It's good. He's good.
So they go, okay. Here's what we can sell you tonight, but we're worried about these 2 figures. We don't know if we'll have enough. I said, you know what? Because the thing is,
you're not invested in this guy,
right?
I'm like,
I don't really
care whether or not you get them or not, right?
But I'm like, okay, hey, you know what? That's completely cool. I'm like, that's completely cool. I can come back tomorrow and see what's available. You got to take care of your customers, and I completely fucking get that. And so I bought the stuff, and I reached out and said, all right, now you owe me for this stuff too. He sent the second payment. He added the extra $7, and I even said, I said,
can you send it as a friend?
Well, right. He is, well, I'll send it to his friends and family next time. I said, great. You can say, I said, you owe me this much, including what from that end. I wouldn't say no to a tip. That was my friendly way of saying, hey Dick knows.
Dude, I'm doing you a big solid here,
right.
Bro.
So,
how about a 10% tip on top of all that?
So he sent me an extra $20.
Okay.
He sent it business. The second time.
What the fuck?
Now,
does he own a store or something? Or
so the thing that,
like, is he using the receipts
he
as
said,
a
write-off? Now he said with the second one. Well, no, because if he does it as a business transaction as opposed to friends and family, if I screw him, he can challenge it.
He can dispute it.
He can dispute it. If he sends it friends and family, he's just fucked.
Yeah.
Right. So he sent it the second time. I went,
but the tip.
I said, dude. I'm like, because this one was even more. I'm like, and now, I'm like, okay, so now instead of getting an extra 20 out of this, I've got an extra like 7 because it ate up all the extra money on the friends and family. I'm like, God damn it.
It cost him money, but he's dicking.
This dude knew exactly what he was doing.
No, because the third and final payment that he made on Sunday, he did throw in another 20, and this time he did send it friends and family, so I didn't get hosed that time. But I'm like, all this time and effort, because at the end of the day, I went up to the WizKids booth in the morning. I said, "Hey, are you?" And I just looked at him like, "Are you guys okay with your Wonder Woman and your Ultimate Warriors? If you're not, hey, that's cool. I'll take what I can get." They go, "No, we can take care of you." I thanked them. I said, "You know what? Yeah, I did the salesman thing."
Yeah.
Hey,
Tony's got the sweet talk, baby. He knows how to talk to him.
I did.
I heard a little bit of that. I'm like, oh, he knows what he's doing.
I was the Goomba businessman.
Yep.
It's the hey, I got a guy. The reason you got a guy.
You don't give me those, and you're gonna put a horse's head in your bed.
No, it's not even that.
No, you're totally.
You're completely
I know.
off.
I'm just fucking with you.
No, you. It's all about that networking.
Yep.
So I buy the stuff.
You take care of me, I take care of you.
I buy the stuff for him, and that's
we've learned that
exactly
Pasquale has watched too many movies. That's what we've learned tonight.
He's not a real.
What are you talking about? That was my uncle.
He's not a real fucking dago.
He's too much of an Italian. That's what it is.
So I reach out to the guy. I'm like, hey, I was able to get back in line and get this, and like, you're good. Here's your total. He sent me another $20 on top of that one. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I made like $27 for all my heartburn. And then he goes, "Hey, can you get any more?"
Are you kidding me?
F you
on Sunday.
Yeah.
F you and the A. That's all I would have said.
I would honestly just say, no, sorry.
There would have been. I wouldn't even responded. I would just have not responded.
No. I was brutally honest in my text. I said, look, I just told them that I was looking to take care of my guys and not resell this shit so that they would take care of me so I could get you what you asked for. I'm not going to burn that goodwill with them.
Right.
Yes.
To go and go, hey, I know I told you I just needed this, but
hey, can I get 15 more of them?
No.
But yes, but the other honest thing to say is, look, I'm here enjoying GenCon. I can't, I'm not here.
I got other shit to
working
do.
as
I got more things to do with my life.
Well, to be honest, there was no way. I mean, there was no time I spent more than 5 minutes at the WizKids table.
And like I keep saying, this was the year to do that. Like
right.
Any other year would have been no way, bro.
Right.
Like this was not going to happen.
People. So
this would not have happened on any other year.
No.
Just would not. You would, whether you wanted to or not. There was not the opportunity.
Right.
I belong to a group, if you want to buy things from Disney, like you can actually ask these guys to do it. And there's specific rules. They can't charge you over 20% over the price.
Right.
And everything's like straightforward and like there's reviews and everything. It's awesome. Because there's always all these Disney exclusives on everything.
Right.
And that's the way to do it. It's upfront. It's honest.
But it's not even about.
But what I'm saying is they go there. They have like an annual pass.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to enjoy their time, or they're going to specifically to work, and that's what I'm trying to say to you.
Right?
Oh,
you're going
completely.
to GenCon in a limited time. It's not open
and
all year round,
and it's not like the guy was being a dick. Like he was being very nice about it.
And for the most part, yeah. But the thing is, what he was being was tone deaf.
And it was very. He doesn't know you. You don't know him. Hey, can you do me this
favor?
favor? what do you think that favor's worth? And hey, you know,
you
and my buddy are both friends, so you're my friend, right? Hey, can you help me out? Like, boy,
the fact
I gotta tell you, man, the balls on that guy to ask a guy I don't even know to shoot you a bunch of stuff. That's a big ask. Like I've literally never done that kind of thing.
Never once.
I would just feel so uncomfortable doing that. Yeah. Joey,
how the hell did we spend an hour talking about only minis?
We're talking about GenCon, bro.
It's all GenCon, bro.
Yeah, but okay. I do have a question I've been wanting to ask.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys happen to see the D&D live event this year?
No.
Oh.
I don't even know what was the D&D live event.
Well, since Critical Role couldn't show up, they instead just got a bunch of D&D TikTokers together to play a game, and one of them I actually watch on YouTube, One Shot Questers, and yeah.
Were they playing over in the Bald Man Games area? Because that's over in the JW.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they probably played it. Yeah, I'm sure that they played it in a separate room.
I don't know.
So, because here's the thing, Joe. Wizards of the Coast does not come to this convention, ever. They don't go to any conventions that I know of anymore. What Hasbro does, what Wizards of the Coast does, is they have, for example, at GenCon, for the Magic tournaments, Pastimes. It was a game store in the Chicagoland area. They run all the Magic events on behalf of Wizards of the Coast.
Right.
There's a company called Bald Man Games. They run all the D&D events, all the Adventurers League events at GenCon on behalf of Wizards of the Coast as well. So there's no booth. God, I can't remember the last time there was a D&D booth. It had to be right around the time of 3.5 or 4. I mean, it's more than 10 years since Wizards pulled out of GenCon.
Is it that long? God, my memory is so horrifying. Like I have no idea.
I have no concept of time.
But I feel like WotC has been there. I feel like WotC was there last time we were there.
No.
Well, I don't know about any of that.
Remember the giant Loth model was there, and the giant. That was WotC.
Hang on a second, Joe. The what model?
Loth, the demon prince. The demoness?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm gonna have to go. Okay.
Yeah, we have to investigate.
I'm gonna have to look into that.
I didn't know who was running it or anything. I only even knew that it was
been
happening.
Paizo too.
I only even knew that it was happening because at the end of some of his videos, he was like, "Hey, so I'm gonna be at GenCon playing with a bunch of these other guys, and you can meet me on the floor." And that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a much smaller show. I picked up some really cool stuff.
Honestly, I hope he's there next year because I do actually kind of want to meet him.
Cool, absolutely. Figure out where he's going to be, and we'll go figure that out. That's no big deal.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did I do? Oh, I got to play the new Dark Tower game.
That's the one. That was like the only thing that people are like, "Hey, what did you see cool and new at GenCon?" I'm like, pretty much Dark Tower was it. Like, there's nothing else that was super cool and really interesting, and because there was a lot of little bitty games and little bitty stuff that was going on, but that was the one thing because it's been around for a long time and it was a huge Kickstarter.
The two things that I saw, the two new hotness, it's the Dark Tower and it was Ravensburger.
Yeah, right.
It's not Ravensburger. It's
Ravensburger. I went to the Ravensburger trade day
to get to the Hamburger.
It was all about Ravensburger.
Do they serve it up with Limburger cheese?
Yes, indeed, they do.
And a side of a stick up your keister.
So
Ravensburger.
Are they actually had Ravensburger?
They had advanced copies of their new Alien game, Fate of the Nostromo.
Yeah.
So I was able to pick that up. I went by the Renegade booth, and they had another expansion for Clank in Space, so had to jump on that one.
Of course.
You got to meet Matthew freaking Lillard.
I got to meet Matthew Lillard.
Did you
I didn't know who he was until Tony had to explain it to me.
Matthew Lillard.
He was Shaggy.
Apparently, I don't know.
Serial killer, as in Fruit Loops from Hackers from 1995.
Well, he was also
Shaggy and Scooby-Doo.
He was also in Scream.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of... He's also in She's All That and Steampunk SLC.
SLC Punk, She's All That. He did a couple episodes of The Good Wife. I enjoyed him on that.
I actually really love Matthew Lillard.
Oh, he's awesome.
He was also in Wing Commander.
Yes, he was. Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze Jr. Mm-hmm. Their best friend. So, one of the guys we were hanging out with, the whole reason I found out he was there, he's I don't know if he's the full owner or the co-owner of a company called Beetle and
Grimm.
Oh, okay.
So what they do is they upscale D&D modules. So like if you wanted to get the Curse of Strahd, well, the Curse of Strahd module, it comes in a box about this big. It's $400, but the module itself, the book, is broken down into individual modules. They give you all sorts of nifty handouts and individual
tokens and wooden layouts.
It
things
is
for each individual character. And
it is the high-end D&D. I don't know if he owns or he co-owns it. One of the guys we're with goes over and he recognizes him. Was it Leif who went up?
Yes.
And Leif's like, he's like, I'm totally blanking on your name, and he goes, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr.
Wait, Freddie Prinze Jr. was there too?
No. The guy goes up and What do you do?
No. That was Matthew Lillard's response. Leif is like, I'm going crazy. He's like, I don't remember.
That's your name.
That's hilarious.
And Matthew Lillard goes, I'm Freddie Prinze Jr. So
that's pretty awesome.
Dude. It really was.
That's pretty awesome.
But I went over and I said, I just shook his hand. You know, they were busy. He happened to be at the booth,
and I'm sure I saw him and had no clue who he was.
Right,
no clue, zero clue.
Yeah, no, he's pretty much the owner of Beetle and Grimm.
There you go. Apparently, he told Leif that he had a midlife crisis and wanted to do something other than act. If you look at his IMDb, he's been doing nothing but voice work, and a lot of it is Shaggy.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean,
he's perfect for the role.
I mean, if you look at Freddie Prinze Jr., the guy was Kanan in Star Wars Rebels. Yep. He did the same tact.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Okay, and our buddy here, Mark Hamill,
right,
did the same thing. Like Harrison Ford was a feature film guy, right?
Yeah, but Mark Hamill is a singular talent. I mean, he's no Matthew Lillard. I mean, Mark Hamill's great.
I guess what I'm trying to say is though, like Mark Hamill, he was in like a few live action things, but like he's a singular.
He did the live action Flash.
Yeah.
In '91.
Yeah, he played the trickster, right?
Yep.
The trickster.
And then he reprised his role.
Mark Hamill was in Corvette Summer.
Yes, he was.
1977.
The greatest movie of all time.
Coming of age film ever.
Wasn't he in Fanboys?
What?
He was in Jay and Silent Bob.
He was also in a movie called The Guyver, which
I remember that movie.
So
that's a callback.
I rented that movie.
That is
on
a piece of
VHS.
crap movie.
Yes, oh yeah, but I rented it for the only reason that Mark Hamill's name was on the cover.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this thing looked cool because it was about a guy in a suit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know exactly. I remember.
I remember the movie.
But, how much was Mark Hamill in that movie? I want to say about 10 minutes.
Yeah, very little.
He wasn't even the lead.
Right.
Well, and Mark Hamill did the voice for the Wing Commander video game.
Well, yeah. Right. Was it not all of them, like famously. 2, 3, 4 or
something like that.
And, of course, he did Joker and all that. Even in the Arkham games, he played him.
Yep.
Which was a nice touch.
Mark Hamill disappeared from, good feature films.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because why?
Exactly. He was making enough bank.
Right. Exactly. You know what? You reach that point, and it's like, okay, I need to work. I'm going to do something.
And he's still working. He's doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
I actually just realized.
Well, he's actually acting more in television now.
Yeah.
And he's picking roles that fit him better.
Yes.
I just realized, do you think his voice is so raspy nowadays because he spent so long playing the Joker?
No. He was probably a pack-a-day smoker back then.
I was going to say.
No.
He's definitely... yeah, that's definitely a smoker's voice right there.
That is.
Yeah. That's why he was so good at the Joker.
Right.
Yeah. Because he had that raspy voice.
You've got it.
Okay. My 2 boring-ass GenCon questions, because they are boring.
Bring it.
One is, has the Wi-Fi situation improved in the halls?
It was fine.
Oh.
I had great signal.
I never tried the Wi-Fi, but...
I mean, even in the
past... I had vendors, sometimes, hey, they were using Square when Square came out.
Right.
That's an interesting point because I didn't buy a lot there, but I did hear a couple of vendors complain about it. And whenever I hear that, I'm like, you didn't plan well because I've never had an issue. Now, I've never vended at GenCon, but most the venues will always give you the option of paying for Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Yes, they always try
and it's not cheap. It's very expensive.
$200 for a weekend. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's not cheap. The first year I was in my new iteration. I vended at GenCon or at Adepticon, which is in Schaumburg at the Renaissance. I paid for the Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
and it was perfect. It was fine. And then the next year, I'm like, I went over there before the show started, and I'm like, I'm at full bars on data. Just my cell Like, why would I pay for Wi-Fi
Right.
$45 a day per day?
Yeah, each into your profit margin.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just using the Square, blah blah blah, and it worked great. Like now, the Schaumburg Renaissance Center is not quite the Indiana Convention Center.
But here's the thing: I guarantee you.
But I only did it once, and I've never had a problem since. And I don't pay for it anymore at Adepticon.
No. And the thing is that Indiana Convention Center, I guarantee you there are 5G millimeter wave cells, and I know I'm speaking...
and that's why I'm interested in what you have to say.
The simple fact of the matter is the NFL is going to make sure that stadium that is right there has got everything. That is the whole point of the millimeter wave. It's like, hey, we're going to give you the ultimate fan experience, and you're going to have Wi-Fi. So they've got a contract with fucking Verizon. Mm-hmm. So if you've got Verizon service, I promise you, and a 5G phone, you're hitting top fucking speeds.
Same thing if you go to Milwaukee and US Cellular.
Cool. Because right, exactly. Because give me a moment, Joe. Because the thing is, those 5G millimeter wave, they've only got a reach of about 2 to 3 miles. You're half a mile from the convention center to the stadium. So I promise you, you've got cells all over that stadium to make sure that it's got full coverage. Therefore, that convention center is blanketed by the Verizon 5G. Go ahead, Joe.
So it's cool to know that. So now all of the people whose significant others drag them there just to watch football can just stand on their phones the whole time because unlimited data.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what they want.
Here's the
joking. I'm not. Here's the thing. The NFL wants you on the sports books because the sports books are now paying the NFL for licensing. So, hey, the sports books, they want you on there making those bets and during the game with your FanDuel or your DraftKings or whoever you place your bets with. They want you in the stadium able to do that with 100,000 other people. Mm-hmm. Because they want that licensing. They want to be able to gather your data as well when they say, hey, connect to our Wi-Fi.
We're going to track you. You're going to give us all that stuff. Listen, folks, here's a common thing that you guys don't realize. If you're not paying for a service, guess what? You are the product.
Right. So here's the thing. When you're paying for the service, you're the fucking product.
even when you are. Whether you're not or you are.
I know, but even more so, there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Oh, I know. And while I get that, here's I've been in the industry for 11 years. They are all gathering, whether it's free or not. I promise you, every time I'm logging in there, if I'm not connecting a VPN... They're tracking. I promise you, the hotel is tracking, and they're selling my information, guaranteed.
Just connect me right to Pornhub right now.
That's why you use incognito mode, man. Come on. Wow. You connect the VPN, you turn on incognito mode.
So all of that was day one of GenCon.
Okay, my other question.
That was like an hour and a half.
We've got a half an hour left of the show to cover the next 5 days.
Yeah.
And also future topics.
What was your other question, Squally?
So did the food offerings decline due to did they have like 1 billion food trucks?
Okay, so yes and no, right? So yes, they had 1 billion food trucks.
Okay.
And the food truck lines were redonkulous for the good food.
Yeah, because the good food always still takes a while.
But not redonkulous for, I don't want to say the bad food, but like the less desirable, the mediocre food.
You know what? I got really lucky.
Hotel pizza.
With the exception of the nachos, and the nachos were still...
Stale as fuck?
Not great.
No, but the thing is... The
nachos weren't a meal. They were just...
No. They were a meal. They weighed 2 pounds.
Yeah, and I would have blurged for 2 days had I eaten that entire 2-pound thing of nachos.
Right. But it
was a great big snack.
It really felt... The cheese was cold. The chicken was... The chicken was pretty shredded. Well, I don't mind the shredded, but they didn't keep it in any
But if you wanted a meal, so your options were to go to get a meal at the food trucks. It was the good food trucks. You're going to have to get in line... Wait for half an hour, order your food, wait another half an hour, and then get your food. Like, that was the option.
Earlier on in this podcast, Tony and I did a Surviving Conventions multi-series. Listen to us earlier. Anyhow, but along with the sock tips, all that stuff, was food. And 'cause every time you go to these conventions, you always come back feeling like crap. And a lot of it is you don't sleep well. You're on your feet for like 14 hours a day if you're like gaming, like a tournament and stuff. And the third one is like you're not hydrated and you don't eat well.
So we had a nice little refrigerator. Okay. I brought a case of Gatorade that we packed into the refrigerator.
Electrolytes.
So we brought the Gatorade. We brought our own booze, but we kept going out to drink and pay.
So we didn't hardly drink any of our own booze.
We kept going because like, hey, you got to come to this speakeasy.
Yeah.
So we can get $15 old fashions and $10 cigars.
Going to the speakeasy. That was great.
It
is a speakeasy.
Like, see this bottle?
Yes.
I brought
just
this
a bar
bottle.
Instead of
you
like
barely
a
drank
bar,
that.
like a sports bar. It's like comfortable couches or on
it's like
a low
1920s,
table.
Yeah. I remember that
sounds
place.
really nice.
It was really awesome.
It is
but
really
they're really
nice.
cool. Yeah,
but it's
really
$15
cool.
old
They're very
fashions.
late, but you're $15 old fashions, right?
And
which is one drink.
Right. And the cigar that I wanted was
Tony was bitter. They didn't have the one cigar he wanted.
They didn't have any in the.
What did you want? A Dominican?
No. Well, actually, yes. A Dominican. It's a Arturo Fuente Florofina 858. That is my cigar.
What?
Now,
exactly. That's what
when I go to the humidor down the street, I go to the cigar shop.
Yeah.
It's a $6 cigar. In this place, they were asking 12.
30? Yeah.
No, 12.
Yeah.
Which is
usually
right.
I expect a
300% markup on wine, so I expect the same on cigars.
Right.
Well, except that it's actually a $4 cigar that they're charging, or a $3 cigar that they're charging.
It's ambiance, Tony.
It is
You're
ambiance.
paying for ambiance.
And you only smoke one cigar at a time. It's not like I was sitting there going, "Give me another one."
Well, that's the other thing with the cigar. You're supposed to enjoy it.
Hey, Boss Hog, just tone it down a little.
Boss Hog.
I'm Hellboy.
But again, I came out of that place. I had a drink and a cigar, and with tip, I spent like almost $30.
Yeah,
and it's like, I've got a bottle of really good bourbon up in the room.
Yeah, but we wanted to hang out with friends.
I know,
because we met my manager Leif and some of his friends.
Right.
I loved it. I thought I had a great time.
I did too. I really did.
And I will tell you, after the event, after the whole thing ended, Leif's buddies, all of them said, "Hey, so great that we could hang out with you and your friends Todd and Tony. Super great guys. Like they felt like they were like old friends from wherever. Like because we're all grognards, right? Because we're all from the same era. We all grew up in the same period of time.
We can all relate to each other.
Within 9 years of each other as far as age goes. And
unlike Joey, who is just sitting there.
It was like we'd all had the same life experience. It's just that we had never met each other before.
Except
so
for me.
Everybody was really, really complimentary of the whole group, and I had a great time. Like Leif's buddy, his attorney friend, that told the two greatest stories I've ever heard in my life in a 2.5 hour period of time. I was like, oh my god. So GenCon, before we leave,
yes,
we have to talk. So that was day one. No, not really day one.
You know what? How about we?
It was more than day one. So here, let's fast forward to the games Tony and I played. We only played a few games. What do you want to say, Joey?
I think we should make this an extended episode.
We could do a to be continued,
or we can sit here and talk as long as we want to talk.
Exactly.
That's true. I got nowhere to be.
So
I have to be at work tomorrow at 8, so I'm fine.
I need to get some sleep after that concert last night. I'm so good.
I'm sure you are. Yeah, you're
I gotta work out in the morning, so
that's fine.
Hey, you know what? I'll be fine as long as I can wake up by 10:30. I should be able to.
The life of a college student.
Give me this fucker's phone right now. Can we just give him giant noogies right on his head? I was just gonna say that I wanted to mention the BattleTech that you and I played.
Oh yeah.
So I played in one. They call it Grinder. It's not
the app.
No. It's nothing.
No.
Imagine if it did though.
There's an E in this.
No,
right.
Imagine if it was literally just an expansion that added like a dating sim for the
Anyway, with the BattleTech Grinder has been around for a very long time, and it's just a bunch of giant maps. I think they put 3 of the regular maps together, and then everybody sits around and you start out with a very low a very bad mech, like a 20 or 25 ton mech, and then and there's 6 to 10 players on a map. and everybody starts off, and it's just everybody kills each other, right?
Kill everyone.
And as soon as you die, you pick up your mech, you walk over to the table, you get a better mech, and then you just get right back into the game and respawn. That's fun. So it's kind of like every man for himself.
An upgrade.
Yeah.
Here's your upgrade, respawn, and this year they did it a little different than they've done it in past years because of COVID stuff.
Right.
So this year it was in 2-hour blocks, and it was still 2-hour blocks where you would just pay to continue, but they reset every 2 hours this year as opposed to
just jump in when you get there.
Just jump in when you get your
because some people will sit there at those tables. When we showed up for the Saturday game,
we got there Saturday.
Well, we played Friday and Saturday.
I played Friday and Saturday. So Friday the guy had already been there. One guy had already been there for 12 hours.
Right. So so already it's like I'm showing up with my purple mech. I've got the little guy who's going to run around and go pew 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 until I get my face stepped on.
Right.
And I'm going about. Wait a minute. That's an 80-ton mech.
How long have you been playing, man?
Holy crap! You've already died like 4 times. I am so. And I'm going to spawn right in front of him.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The good news is when you die right away, you get a new mech. And so
right
then you
away.
can jump right in, yeah. And so I really like and think that kind of game is super fun for a convention game.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. That is like, to me, that is the funnest convention style game that you can play.
And it depends on really who you have at the table.
It helps.
Too.
Yeah, if you get good people at the table.
Right. I was fortunate that the most obnoxious guy that I played with was probably, on a scale of 1 to 10, was probably a 3 on the obnoxiousness level.
Yeah.
There were people, I think you had one where he was probably turned up to 7 or 8.
7 or 8, probably, yeah.
Where they're trying to take control of everything.
Right.
Whereas when we Saturday, we didn't play on the same table on Friday. Saturday we did, and we were like, okay, so we got into a point where it's like, you should totally, if you charge him, I will DFA you, and we're just going to do all this stuff that you would never consider. And everybody was going, this is going to be cool.
This is the most awesome thing I've ever seen.
Because we just wanted to run robots at each other and watch them blow up. Yeah, right. As opposed to everybody else is like, no, I have to add to my 13 kills. Will
I have a +1 to hit there or a +2 to hit there? Because I want to make sure I have the maximum potential to get hit. Like, right. No, dude, I'm gonna robot jocks my guy at maximum speed until I run into you. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, it was totally
the game.
And finally, I only played 3 sessions.
I played 4.
I played 3 sessions. By the 3rd session, I'm in charge. Like, screw you guys. Like, I like, give me all the cards, give me all the things. I'm taking over.
It was me
and
Todd. Yeah, it was me and Todd running. Todd's like, okay, you need to go, but it was me and him who were like. You should totally do this.
we were the devil on everybody's shoulder. It was so awesome.
We were the devil and the angel. He's going, you should totally do that. And I'm on the other shoulder going, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, it totally was, man. And I'm like, that's why those games are so much fun.
We should totally do that. Epic.
Because it's stuff you would never do. And we can do that stuff at the store.
Yeah.
If you can get like 4, 5, 6 people playing. Yeah.
I would totally.
We can do convention style games, and they're always a blast.
Let's get 10 people.
They're never a bad time, right? Nobody ever feels bad because the point is you respawn and you come back, and it's just about
when
doing
you have that many
stuff.
people, though, people are standing around.
No, well, I mean, yes, because the turns take time, but it's like, oh, hey, okay, so I just shot Todd. I got to go take a leak. If I take any damage, mark it down. I'll be back.
At one point, Tony just gave me his character. He's like, I'll be back in an hour and a half, and I'm like, all right, I got your guy.
I was gone for 20 minutes to go get that stuff.
I mean, like, when you were like, I don't know if I'll be back or not. I want to play. I'm like, okay, I got your guy. So I got his guy, and I'm like, yeah, Tony's playing, and I'm playing, and I'm running.
Imagine
I'm running the event, and I'm doing everything.
Imagine you had 3 tables of 4, and if you died, you randomly respawn on one of the other tables.
That could be,
totally convention style games like that. It was so much fun.
The fun thing is
because you don't have any expectations.
Yeah,
you're not invested in your character. Your model.
There's no like squad building.
You're just running around trying to do crazy fun stuff, and you do stuff that you would never do in a regular game.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If I construct my lance and I've got exactly my 500 BV, and if I don't. Like you're not invested in your thing.
Optimized.
You're just running around trying to do crazy stuff, and so you get to do fun things that you would never normally do.
It's like, hey,
that's why convention games are so much fun.
Right? They lay out the mechs and they say, see this D10 or this D20, roll it. oh, look, you get this piece of crap. I'm like, I looked at
that
my first.
That is a piece of crap.
It's a hussar.
I got a fire starter. I started with a freaking fire starter,
I started
bro.
with a hussar.
Okay,
a hussar's
I can
fast.
shoot nine spaces. That was my big thing. I could shoot 9 spaces away. That's all I had.
I could walk 9 on mine. I was like, ooh, if I run, I can get to the magical 4.
Magical 4. Yeah, I had a fire starter that maybe.
What's the magical 4?
So one of the things in BattleTech,
Modifier.
there are modifiers, right? When you walk, for every space that you move, you get a modifier to your defense. But if you walk, you get
It's harder to hit.
It's harder to hit someone else. When you run, it's harder than it is if you walked. And if you use jump jets, it's even harder still. But you get bonuses to your own defense. Now, the magic of 4, because if I move 1 or 2 spaces, you get no bonus to your defense. If you move 3 or 4 spaces, you get +1 to your defense. 5, 6, or 7 will give you +3.
So 5 is kind of the thing. So
No, it's 5 and 6 give you 2.
Yep.
7, 8, and 9 give you +3.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And then 10 plus gets you that magic +4 to your defense.
And nobody ever gets that.
Very
difficult. They're very difficult to get that.
Right, because you can't. That means you're pretty much running in a straight line. Because
and I will say, I was very impressed.
I'll teach you all about it.
Playing in that convention game,
Yeah.
the Grinder. I was very encouraged by. There were a lot of new players.
Yes, there were
people that had only played it once or had only seen it. And
there were some people who were returning. It's like I
played this 25 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you and I did a lot of teaching people how to play the game.
Yep.
It's like, and the guy, the Catalyst guy, would be like, "Hey, who's played this game before?" Like, yeah,
They should give you a percentage.
And the one guy goes, "Hey, have you played this game before?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm an expert level player." He goes, "Okay, well, so when you move here, you go here." I'm like, "No. I'm literally an expert level player. I've been playing this game for 30 years."
I know more than you.
I know more than you. Okay, so when you hit this, I'm like, stop telling me what to do because I know how to frickin' play this game,
right,
bro.
You're getting a point, and some of them were very. It's like, okay, so you're it's a 5+ range modifier, so they were able to do that. I, on the other hand, would go 1, 2, 3. You need to roll a 7.
Right, just roll the dice.
Roll a 7.
Yeah, I mean, and that's when you get into convention style games.
Yeah.
When you're like,
you want it as simple as possible.
I can teach you how to play the game, or I can just tell you what to do. Right. So roll the dice. Would you roll a 3? You missed. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
I've just saved 8 minutes of time not explaining to you why that missed.
Right.
But I know that misses. Right. I rolled the dice. I rolled the 9. Okay. Well, now we need to do the math.
Yes.
Okay. So you guys started with 4 plus 2. Okay. You need an 8. Great. You hit. Great. If it's I rolled an 11. Yeah, 11 hits totally.
Yep.
So convention style games and people who run those large convention style games,
right,
there's a skill to it.
There really is.
And
it's not the same. It's like demoing and
everything. And the Catalyst guys did a good job. They were very short-handed. They only generally, especially the first day that I played, they had 2 guys.
For 4 tables.
4 tables. And they basically are like, for God's sakes, if any of you know how to play this game, please help us out.
That's exactly right.
We're like, yeah, we got you, bro.
Because we showed up a little bit late because we were doing something else. So we're like, oh, I was doing the paint and take.
Yeah.
That's what it was. So I did the paint and take, and I'm like, we're going to show up a little bit late. We'll drop in when we drop in.
Right.
And then we show up.
It doesn't quite work that way anymore.
No, it did.
You got in.
They completely let us go. They're like,
do you know how to play?
I walked up. They're like, do you know? Yeah.
You know what you're doing, bro?
I'm like, yeah. I've got a good grasp of it. I haven't been playing for 30 years like some, but over the last year and a half,
it's not so. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I've got a good grasp. They go, great. This table has
charge of
no
that
idea
table.
what they're doing. Everybody's new. Can you help?
Please go help.
You should start trolling everybody and just start making the rules.
Oh my god, it's so funny. It is so
if
funny.
I have to cheat at a game like that where there's nothing on the line, then there's something wrong with me.
I mean, I'm not talking about cheating. Be like, add 10.
I shoot you in the face.
And to bring it back to GenCon, that's one of the things I like about GenCon or big conventions because you get to do things that you would never generally do at a store level. Things that you can't. That's why big conventions like GenCon are so fun because you play new stuff. Play stuff with new people, and you play things that even though it's a game that you might play all the time, you're going to play that game in a way that you've never played it before, or you only play it once a year.
Right.
And it's going to be a completely different experience.
I think if you had the whole gaming experience part without any of the show floor as like a separate smaller con that is only designed for people to introduce.
That's exactly what the game floor is.
That's mostly what the vendor hall is for. Yeah, it really is.
That's what I mean. I mean, like that could be a whole separate convention.
Yeah, but the thing is, so if you didn't have all those vendors there selling stuff and paying premiums for their spaces. Oh, speaking
I'm not
of
saying
which,
it needs to be at the Lucas Oil Stadium.
No. But I'm saying even for the convention, if you didn't have all those vendors in there making money and paying a premium for their space, then our badges would be through the roof.
Right.
And they're already, 120. My first 4-day Gen Con that I went to, I think the badge was $65 for a 4-day at that point in time. And that was 20 years ago, but now it's $120 plus all of the service fees, plus right. Whatever they want to tack on and add on to that.
Yeah.
So it's...
What do they think they are, Ticketmaster?
You used to be able to get into Gen Con for free on Sunday. Sunday was family day, and if you came afternoon on Sunday, you just walk in.
That's kind of cool.
That was the Mecca Center.
Yeah.
That was literally 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was not anywhere. I mean, it was nothing what it was. It used to be a miniature game convention.
Right.
You know how many miniature games you want right now? And I'm not talking about X-Wing miniature games. I'm like miniature games.
Like
historical miniature.
This year,
Legion?
0. Like Battlefront and Flames of War was the only actual miniature
Warhammer
game.
was there.
GW was there.
They
weren't having any tournaments or events that I saw.
They had a space on the gaming floor,
but I didn't see any events going on.
Okay.
Did you see any? Did you see?
I wasn't paying attention.
I looked. I did not see a single GW event occur.
That's
anywhere.
Fair.
Yeah.
They were giving away models for free to paint.
Yeah.
And I sat down and painted a model.
They had a nice paint and take space.
Yep.
And they had a nice big booth. I'm happy to see GW there.
So am I.
I think that's where they should be. They should absolutely, because that's how you get new people into the game, right? That's a great space to get new people into the game.
So,
and I'm all about trying to get new people into the game. That's what they should be doing.
54 years ago, when the first Gen Con started, Joey, it started off as a wargaming convention. Not even a historical minis, but war games.
Or even role playing.
It was
kind of like Song of Ice and Fire.
No. So these were games that you played with little chits that represented your armor and your infantry and your artillery. Papa used to play these when he was earning his master's. Because he was teaching ROTC, so he was like those little chit games. And I always saw.
I've got them. If you want to see what they look like, I'll bring them over. I'll show you how to play. They're really fun. It's just a different animal. Right?
It completely is. It morphed into after D&D.
It went from that to role playing,
and then they started incorporating video games in the late '80s and early '90s.
Yep.
Very, very little, and when I say video games, it was mostly computer based. They weren't bringing Nintendos out there. It was PC based video gaming, and then Magic the Gathering happened. And that's when the convention kind of got turned on its ear. Now, I didn't go. I missed because I went in '91, and then the next one I went was '96. By '96, the CCGs had taken over everything. So it was you were either a card flopper or a dice chucker.
Right.
That's what you were.
Yeah, and role playing was like a distant third. Like it was weird. And role playing has really had a resurgence in the last decade.
Yeah.
And so role playing is now a big. I think role playing is way bigger than card games are at Gen Con. Now Gen Con still has a huge presence because of
Magic,
but
Magic's the only
one. But
it's
pretty much Magic. Like that's it. Like Pokemon. I mean,
FFGs had issues with a lot of their card games because they were like the leading manufacturer of non-Magic card games for a while.
Who was?
FFG was.
Oh yeah.
And I would say they probably sold more than anybody else, But to say that they were the leader, like as a friendly local game store owner, they were never the leader anywhere.
They're never the leader.
Not even
I'm talking
close.
Outside of Magic.
Not even, but not even close to what Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh have been all this entire time.
Yeah,
exactly.
Pokemon. And I would not argue that because it's a Star Wars license, they probably sold way more dollar value just because it's Star Wars. Yeah. But they weren't nowhere. They were not an actual participatory game.
Even if we go back to 1999 when Pokemon debuted, so from 1996,
Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!
From 1995 through 2000, it was always really fascinating to watch because you had Magic dropped in '93, and then you had all the pretenders. Came. You had your Rage and your Vampire and your Spelljammer,
Legend of the Five Rings,
L5R. Yeah. But inevitably, what you would see at the top was from 95 through 2000, it was Magic, new Star Wars release, Star Wars is on top for 2 months. And then Magic, and then Star Wars. So Magic and Star Wars did this. 1999, everything changed when Pokemon came out because all of a sudden, it's like even Magic was taking a back seat. And they're going, what that Wizards or Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast, someone went, we need to get this license because we're getting everybody got their asses kicked by Pokemon in 99 and 2000. That's when the whole industry changed at that point.
You know why I never got into Pokemon? You're going to laugh at this.
Because it's stupid?
You were too old.
An adult?
No.
Oh.
Wow.
But that's... No. The main reason is I can't stand the design of the game.
Yeah, the look of the game,
Because you're an adult. That's all I'm saying.
As
Not that I have an opinion on the matter at all.
As a graphic designer, I can't stand the look of the cards.
So I remember, that horrific yellow with all the sparkle.
Even the foils that look nice, you can't even read that fucking thing.
Right.
No.
So I still remember when that was going on. I had dropped by a game store in Gurney Mills in 99, 2000. Mills. Yes, because
that's where you lived.
That's where I lived. That's where I met my wife. Was at the Red Lobster at Gurney Mills. We were working there together.
We go in Red Lobster.
That's all you can eat. Krabby Mondays. Man.
Hell yeah!
When they did all you could eat snow crab for $19.99 every Monday.
I'll eat that.
Oh yeah. Anyway, I went in there one day and I was buying a box of Star Wars, right? And as I'm standing there talking, woman walked in with her kid. The kid was 8, 9 years old. She's like, okay, what do you want? And he points out the 3 cards that he wants. And I still remember this like it was. And the guy goes, okay. Rings her up and goes, that'll be $110 for 3 cards. And she goes, what? Are you 3 cards? And she's looking at the kid, and the kid's like, she goes, writes the check. I was like, holy shit. Do you know what?
The kid did
the kid was just like, these are the 3 cards I need.
Hi, my name is Oliver Twist.
And I'm like, Jesus, I'm in the wrong fucking business.
Yep.
Here I am praying that somebody, tips me more than $2 on their $20 all-you-can-eat crab legs.
I mean, I really wish my parents introduced me to card games instead of, like, fucking Topps baseball cards. Because does any of that shit, like, hold any value anymore?
I have no
idea. So here's what I'll tell you. There is still the National Sports Collector Convention that comes through town.
Well,
and
I was just say, did you see the new Top Shelf store open up in Elgin?
No.
Right on Randall Road. He's got Randall Road store.
North or south of us?
North of us.
Okay.
Top Shelf Sports.
Oh, I have heard of that place.
And he's been all over Facebook promoting like crazy, doing giveaways, getting in the kids. It's a little space, but like, for a lot of these guys, if you're just a guy that has been in sports for your whole life, and I have no clue who the owner is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the face, but like he could be independently wealthy and just decided this is something fun he wanted to do for the rest of his life.
Sure.
Or he could be a guy that said, and it's like every sports card place. We're open for 4 hours a day.
It's across the street. It's across the street from the Oberweis.
Oberweis, it's right up the street here. In a right. I mean, this Randall Road facing. It's a nice looking place. The space is phenomenal.
Is it just sports cards or is it all sports memorabilia?
Sports cards primarily, but it is memorabilia. Yeah. I'm like that kind of stuff really fascinates me. Like
there's Pokemon on here. The guy's no dummy.
He's catering to kids. So kids get sports cards and the Pokemon and stuff like that.
It's like, but to be honest,
I won't laugh if Pokemon takes over.
It's not a game space, you know. It's a purchase.
But it's like
there's a few tables in here.
It's 1,000 square feet. I mean, it's not rent is not huge. And if it's just a kind of a fun hobby for this guy, then great for him. And if he makes a few bucks at it, great. But I mean, that's the point. Is the sports cards are still a thing. The sports memorabilia is still a boxing event
outside his thing.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Top Shelf, because that looks like Red Republic. Is that where that's at? Where's that?
Like right by the theater.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. I mean, sports cards. It's kind of like comics, to be perfectly honest, because it's like as I'm entering my comics in here, it's like, oh, I've got this long run of Batman, right? I got like 200 Batman comics in there. It's like, okay, this is a $3 cover price, worth $2, $1, $1, $35. Mm-hmm. $1, $2. It's like lost value, made up for all the lost value, and then some. Mm-hmm. Lost value. So, and sports cards are just like are kind of like that. You get, you're gonna pull your, who's a jabroni on the White Sox or the Cubs these days?
The White Sox are excellent teams. None of them are jabronis.
Yeah.
Every team has a jabroni.
How about Billy Hamilton?
Okay.
I think this year his name is literally just Jabroni.
Job.
White Sox outfielder Billy Hamilton.
Okay, so you might pull a couple of Billy Hamiltons, but then you might pull a
Jose Abreu.
Ozuna was on my tongue for whatever reason.
No, not Ozuna.
No, it's Abreu, right?
Yep.
And maybe that Abreu's an autographed Abreu.
Right.
It's the thrill of the chase. It's the thrill of the hunt, and it's something that hasn't existed since eBay came around.
Right. Yeah.
It's the thing that I miss most about hobbying is the thrill of the hunt. My goddamn C-3PO with a heart on that card. I've shown you that.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes,
the X-ray.
I know exactly what it is.
It came up.
100%.
The goldenrod card.
Yes, the goldenrod.
It came up in a conversation the other day because apparently Anthony Daniels had this one got blocked, and I asked him, "Did you ask him about the goldenrod card? Did you ask him to autograph this?"
Is that what happened?
He blocked it? Yeah.
He will not. In fact, I saw somebody they peeled an Anthony Daniels auto sticker off of a Topps card and they put it on their 207. I've seen two of those in the last year or so. Anyway, but no, it's the thrill of the chase.
Right.
It took me 5 years to find my first goldenrod card. I've owned 3 of them since, but 5 years to find it at a price that I was willing to pay, and that was kind of the fun of it, right? My Darth Vader lightsaber. I hunted for those parts to be able to build that because I knew how they built the props. I'm like, there are certain parts that I need to find. I can't buy a replica for. So I went. I was going to camera shows. I was looking for it. Nowadays,
that's fun.
Nowadays, it's. Let me see.
eBay.
Oh, hey, look!
Etsy,
I can get it
blah, blah,
I can pick it up here or there or there. And there's just there's something lost about that thrill of the hunt.
Right.
It's something that you'll never really know, Joe. It's really sad.
Well, I mean, I can hunt for like expensive Lego sets, but I don't really have the budget for that.
And that is funny. That's a great analogy because Lego has a huge. I mean, it's been around for so long, but they're huge. Their catalog is ginormous.
Right. Earlier, I was actually just looking up the price for the Lego Rogue Shadow set from Force Unleashed. Like $500.
Right. Now, if you were, and part of the thrill of the hunt is being able to find that for less than $500.
Right. Instead of just buying, I could buy the whole thing for $500. Like, well, I found this website and I found 5 of the pieces I needed for $18. And then
you found out all the pieces exactly.
And then you go to flea markets, and then you go to garage sales, and then you're doing all the kind of other stuff. If you're really into it, that's what you want to do.
Because here's the thing, for a collector, and sometimes I feel bad. It almost feels like you're taking advantage of some people when you find those. And the reason this comes up, when I got my first goldenrod card, the whole reason I got it was the card store that I used to go to for my Star Wars CCG up in Grays Lake sold to a guy, and they were a card store. They weren't a sports card. They weren't a game card. They were a card. What kind of card do you want? They probably carried it. Well, the guy who took over, he was a sports card guy, and he knew nothing about the non-sports cards. So he went, he gets in there. He's like, okay, well, this Magic stuff, I'm going to blow this out cheap. He advertised a big sale, and he blew out all of his Pokemon. He wanted it to become a sports card shop. So I go in there one day, and he's going through some stuff, and he happened to have a set of the Star Wars green set. I'm like, well, let me take a look at that. And I'm thumbing through it. It's like, oh, there she is. I'm like, how much do you want for the set? He goes, give me $15. I'm like,
done and done.
I'm like, you got another one? I'll probably take that too, because the set by itself was worth about $25, and he knew an approximate value of the set, but one card.
He was not interested in that.
He wasn't interested, and sometimes it almost feels like you're taking advantage of those people. But
he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
exactly. So I didn't feel too bad about it.
Right.
Just like if I find, if you go into an antique store and you find a Grail, if you're not paying attention to your own business, I'm not trying to take advantage of you, but
and that's more common. That's more common in yard sales and garage sales than it is retail stores, right? We take in lots of trades at the store, and every once in a most of the time people kind of know what they got, right?
Right.
But every once in a while we'll have somebody walk in with the Tupperware. Hey, my son, he's 23. He moved to Europe. He's not coming back anytime soon. I told him I want to get rid of all your junk, and somebody said you buy models. Like, will you buy you want this stuff? And they're looking at it going, yeah, we want all this stuff. She's like, okay, great. Give me $10, and I don't it just gets it out of my basement. I would feel horrible if I give you $10 for this, because you've got $11,000 worth of stuff in this tub. You know what I mean? How about I give you $500 in cash, or I give you $1,000 in store credit or $500 in cash. She's like, oh my God, no, that's way too much. I said, no, really, it's not. Here's a check for $500. Thank you so much for bringing it in. And she's ecstatic that she got that much. And I trying to tell her, look, you could make a lot of money on this if you did other things. She said, I don't care.
I don't care about it. Right.
I don't want to mess with it. I'm like, they told me you would give me some money for it. $500 is way beyond my wildest
What if
expectations.
somebody brings in, I saw an article today about the Thunderhawk.
So you were the Squidmar.
The Squidmar.
I've not seen one of those in person. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I guess I'm just. It is dumbfounding to me, and this is what you guys are talking about: the thrill, the chase, and the actual model. Somebody could 3D print this.
Yeah.
In 2 seconds.
Of course.
Not a big deal, but it's not the original.
It doesn't matter.
It's not made out of metal.
It doesn't have the box. I mean, because that's the thing. It comes in this wooden collector's box. I actually follow Squidmar on YouTube.
Yeah, I've seen him. Yeah.
So what he did was,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He raised the funds.
The video. Yeah.
He just sold it.
Yep.
35 grand.
Yeah. 25,600 pounds, whatever that is.
Yeah, 35,000.
Because they only wasn't. How many did they make? 1,500 of them or something.
Yeah, like that? Something like that. He bought it. He bought it for $6,000.
Right.
And then he built it, sent it out, and then his fans went stupid crazy. It's like 35 grand.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to build one of those Forge World models? Yeah, it's worth a lot to have a built one. Those models are garbage. They're garbage models.
He was.
They're freaking garbage.
It's 100% metal, so you can't even use.
They're garbage models.
They fit like crap. Bad. Right. Yeah. The fit is garbage. He was.
So this is no Bandai Gunpla.
No.
I've seen some.
They're awful. Yeah.
How is it Gunpla and not Gunplay?
I mean, don't
play. Come on. There's so many of those words like Simon games. No,
come on.
It's come on.
Yeah,
come on. Let's play a game.
Come on, let's play.
And
cool mini or
Simon
not.
Game sounds way too close to another
other thing.
Simon sounds like a Jamaican game store. Simon.
I think that's a great place to end the show.
Actually, aren't we also going to talk future topics?
Well,
offline.
We can do that offline. I know that
upcoming conventions, I guess. Yeah, we can finish up our next show. We can finish up Gen Con because there's more things to talk about.
There are, and I want to talk a little bit about Dragonfall, and there's some other really interesting stuff going on. And I'll give you guys the chance to do a little bit of reading on it if you would like, so I'm not springing things on you. You guys are going, Tony, you're talking about shit that we don't know about.
So if you're gonna talk Gen Con next week too, I think I'm just gonna set that one out.
Oh, stop
it.
Whiny.
We're going to talk C2E. I'd like to talk C2E2 and Wizard World. Oh. The huge thing about Wizard World is next month, in 2 weeks, in fact, the very last Wizard World Chicago will be, because they sold their last 6 conventions to Fan Expo. Yeah. I kind of want to talk about that because I've had such an up and down relationship with the Wizard shows and the Wizard brand that I'd kind of like to talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
So we can talk about that. We can talk C2E2. We can talk Dragonfall, the upcoming Adepticon as well, for those of us who are in the local area.
I want someone to point out to me smaller conventions before they become famous so I can go to those.
Well, I can point those out to you. Like C2E2 didn't start out as what it is now, but it's now 10 years old, and it's.
I still remember, like, I went up to Grays Lake, and it was County Con.
Yep, they still do that one.
And that's fine, except that we're in a very bizarre space right now because all the the small cons
that's what I mean. I'm like,
aren't
not
occurring.
right now.
Right.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if any of them come back or which ones do come back.
So, that's what I'm curious. And I'm the co-game chair for WindyCon in November. It's a hardcore science fiction convention. I've had to have conversations because, like, how do we bring the gamers into this convention? I said, you don't.
Yep.
You cater to the.
It's not what that con is.
Right. You cater to the people who are going to be there. So we've kind of devised our strategy around that rather than hoping we can draw gamers to a hardcore sci-fi fantasy convention. It's a literary convention.
Yeah.
It's not a gaming convention. It's not a gaming convention. It's not a pop culture convention. It's not a movie convention. I mean, they show the obscure sci-fi movies in the movie hall, right? They don't show. You're not going to walk in there and hey, I'm going to sit down and watch Star Trek. The next, no, they're pulling out fucking Space 1999 and throwing that shit on there.
And I can tell you about some of my experience with my first game store that opened in 2002.
Right.
I did a lot, and I mean, like every local convention that would have me, I went to.
Right.
Because every $300 or $400 I could make was important.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Because I needed it to pay the rent, and I'm in a much different position now, so I would never attend those as a vendor.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of experience with those small little conventions and understand exactly what you're saying.
Right.
And that's the smartest thing you could say. It's like that's not what those are for. I could go there. Not me, but any company could go there and sell. I'm going to bring all my Munchkin and all my HeroClix and all my blah 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 and make $300 or $400.
Right. Which
is great if it's just me and it doesn't. There's no labor and there's no whatever. And it's not taking
and that's what most of the vendor halls in those types of conventions
That's
are.
what they end up.
They're artistic
and it's not a store owner that needs to pay rent that's there. It's Bob McGurk and his backpack.
Right.
That's they're selling whatever he's got in his backpack.
Yeah, they're
and because he doesn't have rent to pay, so it makes sense for him to go. It's a flea market essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't go to those things, and I get solicited for those things every single month.
And so it's one of the things I learned the lesson when I was doing Decipher because I was trying. I had con chairs that I was working with. I had game game chairs that I was working with that were very interesting. Like we could get Star Wars CCG tournaments and Star Trek CCG tournaments, and we could do all this and Lord of the Rings tournaments, and we'll bring all these people in. And I'm like, I'm excited for this. I'm like, what's the con going to do to help us bring these people in? Absolutely nothing.
Of course.
Because
you're going to pay your $30 to get into the door, and the convention's going to charge, and then the event's another $20. Like nobody's going to pay $50 to come in and play this guy.
Right. I said, what if you?
That's not how it works.
I said, and I even floated the idea, and I was floating this idea 20 plus years ago.
Yes.
I'm like, you have a wrist. You're going to have your badge, but you have a $10 wristband that allows you access to the game room and the vendor hall.
That's it.
That's it. If they want to do anything else, they can upgrade that wristband to a full membership.
Right.
But if you want to draw those bodies in, you need to do something to bring them in, because you need to make them find out about your convention and be interested in your convention. Because if they're not, they're not going to spend that kind of money. And if they're going to spend the kind of money that they need to spend to be coming to the convention anyway, if they're going to rent a hotel room for 3 nights, and they're going to pay their $50 for the weekend badge and $70 for the weekend badge, they're not going to spend it all sitting in the game hall. They want to do the other panels. They're there for the parties. They're there for this and that. They're not there for the gaming. So we
and the gaming definitely takes all that out of your day.
Right. So I've kind of, in the discussions, I talked with the con chair and my co-chair. I'm like, we're going to bring a small board game library so that if anybody wants to come in and sit down and play some games, they can play their board games. We're going to have someone who's going to run 4 beginner sessions of D&D 5.0 because this is an older crowd. If they're interested, they can come, they can sit down for 4 hours.
Yep.
They can get a feel for it, try it out, and they can walk out.
No risk, no competition.
Right. And then we're going to have 2 painting sessions where I'm going to take the product that you sold to us. Thank you very much, by the way. The D&D paint night sets. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have 2 sessions where we're going to sit down for 3 hours and we're just going to paint a red slot. And I'm going to teach people how to paint. Mm-hmm. And if you want to sit down and paint, awesome. And the convention is actually not going to charge them for those models. The convention is actually going to give them away. It's not a huge...
Of course, right.
So they're like, okay, so come in, sit down, learn to paint. And that's it. We're trying to do things that will appeal to someone who might be walking by and have a passing interest in gaming.
To do. Hey, we're here for the weekend.
Right.
Let's do something fun.
But
you're not drawing them there. You're just, you're tangentially getting them interested.
Because trying to get board gamers out of their houses to play anywhere else is just a pain in the ass.
It doesn't work.
It does in the right situation. Unfortunately, a game store and a convention are not those right situations.
For sure, yeah.
Dirty Nelly's has a group called Taco Gaming. Every Tuesday night, beer, $5 hamburgers.
Yeah, if I could sell beer and make giant hamburgers for people, I'm sure I would have a lot more people come and play board games in my store.
And that's exactly what they do.
For free.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, good for them. I mean, it's great. It's a great business model.
It works. But, I'm going to come into a game store to sit down with people I don't know. Right. I already own the game. I'm just going to, if I'm going to sit down with my friends, I'm going to sit down with my friends in my house.
Yeah.
Board gamers are tough. It's a tough sell.
It's a much different thing in the United States. And in the UK and in Europe, a club is a much different, it's a club. They have clubs everywhere. Like, nobody goes into game stores and plays games. They have their clubs that they play games with.
Yeah. It's challenging because you don't know what kind of gamers you're sitting across. You don't know what kind of people you're with.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, we'll wrap up the convention talk next week. I know that Joey wants to do an episode on the X-Men, which I think would be fun. We could do it on the...
It's the only comic I ever collected, so...
There is also the Legend of Korra episode I want to do that we still haven't gotten around to.
Sure. We can absolutely look into doing that. But we need to talk about something. We'll sit down and hash out some topics here over the next week. Next week will be part 2 of the convention. I'm going to try and jump on the stream this week. I got to wrap up that Thunderhawk, so I'm going to try and paint maybe, we're not D&D Friday night, so...
Maybe Tony one day will join us in the store on Monday night.
Yeah, right.
And you actually
I'll be back next Monday.
Tony. He was playing last week.
Yeah. I actually have another idea.
Okay.
Perhaps after Marvel What If wraps up, we can do an...
for sure. We will absolutely do that.
Hell yes.
We will absolutely do that.
How many episodes are left of that? Do we know?
2.
Yeah,
2 more.
I
didn't see today's yet, so...
I haven't...
It is insane.
I heard it was insane, yeah. I haven't seen it yet, so...
It's kind of nuts. I
might
enjoyed
actually see if my daughter's up. I'm going to go watch it tonight, so...
There you go.
Right, cool.
So we'll come up with some ideas. If you guys out there have any ideas for us, things you want us to
suggestions,
we're always open to it. You can reach us on all the social medias. You can find us on Facebook by searching "You Got Me Monologuing." We're on Instagram, but that's mostly used for the mini painting that we do on Tuesday.
Todd, Grognard Games.
And if you want to watch any of our past stuff, you can go to our channel on YouTube.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us here on Twitch, and we're Twitters as well. We're Twitters. We do the Twittering.
I'm not a twit. You're a twit.
I'm a
Twitch.
What?
Oh, excuse me?
Huh?
Anyway.
So, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'll see you either Friday or Saturday night to work on that Thunderhawk. Or that Thunderhawk. That, no, not
Thunderhawk. $35,000.
Oh, cow, he's holding back on You can sell all of your comics and still not be able to buy even a down payment on a Thunderhawk, so...
Actually,
Thunderhawk?
I've got more guns than that.
Don't tell anybody. Nobody knows.
Hey, Heather, if you're listening.
It's a model, a Games Workshop.
She's got. See, now we're just giving it
a very rare GW.
Yeah, she, if the $500,000 in life insurance wasn't enough of incentive to knock me off, now she's finding out. I showed her the thing. She goes, "You have one comic that's worth $350."
That would almost buy us groceries.
It's like that one episode of Modern Family where Mitchell had that
Spider-Man comic
that was like worth $5,000.
Yeah. All right, so thank you very much for joining us tonight. I'm Tony.
I'm Pasquale.
I'm Joey.
I'm Grognard Todd.
We appreciate you. We love you, and you've had us monologuing. Have a great night.
Ciao.
Peace.